Yo legends! Welcome to Fanfiction Legend. Grab your headphones because today's story is about to hit different. Disclaimer: I do not claim ownership of this story. All rights belong to the original creators. Note: I'm constantly tweaking the settings to make it as immersive as possible. Marvel, the Kryptonian who ate the multiverse. Chapter 81, Dawn of Doom. Underground Research Institute. Although everything went well with the mouse experiment, Jarvis calculated that the chance of an accident was less than 1 in 10,000, and all your clones were successfully strengthened. But are you sure you want to do this? Tony, this matter is risky. You have to think carefully. Leon repeatedly emphasized to Tony that there are risks in injecting SS3 enhanced serum. To ensure that risks are minimized, he had even obtained Umbrella's cloning technology. Cloning experiments were performed. Until an hour ago, all 10 unconscious clones of Tony were successfully enhanced and destroyed. Only then did he agree to Tony's real person performance this time. Okay, I'm sure, I'm very sure. Tony was already lying on the test bench. He buckled himself into the metal ring and waist restraint. You know, you're like a second Pepper now. No, Pepper won't clone 10 of me and kill them one by one. Tony nodded at the instrument beside him. In short, I've never seen Leon be so cautious. Where is the resolute and brave boy from before? He is not the kind of person who gets scared when he sees his brother lying on the test bench. This is what I decided to do and what I had to do. I also have something I am determined to pursue, Leon. So let's get started. Tony leaned against the cold countertop and took a deep breath. Don't hesitate any longer. Leon looked at Tony deeply, nodded, and controlled the instrument to inject the SS3 enhanced serum into Tony's body. The serum works very fast. The syringe was not even empty when Tony, who had just looked so determined as if he was ready to sacrifice his life, began to scream. Leon suppressed his pity and signaled Jarvis to record a video to record Tony's miserable condition. If the enhancement is successful, then this is black material. If the enhancement fails, it is impossible for the enhancement to fail. The SS3 serum incorporates too many evolutionary factors, and the strengthening time after injection takes much longer than the final type of the S virus. Leon watched with his own eyes as Tony's body turned red and was burned into charcoal by his extremely high body temperature. Then the charcoal became brittle and broke apart, revealing Tony, whose skin was as pink as a newborn baby. The wound on his chest also healed in the process. But that's just the beginning. The blood was coursing beneath Tony's skin. The bones cracked and contracted with a creaking sound, precisely fitting into a perfect structure. His muscles first expanded like air, and then gradually tightened to the most suitable shape. Every muscle line is becoming perfect, and his streamlined body is second only to Leon. Even my height increased by 10 centimeters. It's all over now. This old guy will be even more powerful in doing evil things in the future. Leon strongly suspected that the reason why Tony was so determined to inject the serum was that he wanted to become stronger and do bad things. The strengthening lasted for 2 hours. After it was over, Tony broke free from the metal restraints, jumped off the test bench and headed straight for the cafeteria. An hour later, Tony, who had eaten food for 10 people, finished testing his physical fitness with the help of Leon. The single arm strength is 113 tons, and the fastest sprint speed is 423 meters per second. I think you can abandon your iron armor, Leon complained while holding the experimental record. The most important thing is that you can also manipulate e-mold, use your flesh to generate flames, or let your body tissue grow and generate flesh tentacles. You can even use your own blood to control others. Leon slapped his forehead. To be honest, your abilities make me feel like you are a supervillain. You, Tony cursed with a smile. One of his hands was burning with flame, and the other was controlling a ball of mold to wriggle with a bright look in his eyes. This is indeed the ladder of human evolution. Leon, are you sure you don't want to inject it? Leon shook his head. Superman is already invincible. Why does he need the help of serum? Speak English. This serum is useless to me. Instead, it will lead my body towards an unknown evolutionary path. Leon spread his hands, for example, turning into a tentacle monster or something. After all, the SS3 serum is made based on complete human genes and basically can only make humans evolve. But it's not like I didn't gain nothing. At least with this experience, it will be much easier to study Kryptonian blood in the future. Then be sure to ask me to study with you. I don't want you to wake up the next day and become Doomsday. Tony said. Got it, I'll call you when I go to the DC world. Leon destroyed the experimental records casually. By the way, your mission in this world is considered to be completed. Do you want me to send you back first? You're going to stay and help them kill the zombies, right? Tony patted Mark Roman for, I want to stay too. How can I be absent to save the world? I'm Iron Man. Iron Man. It would be more appropriate to call you Muscle Man now. Leon said, you have been shirtless since a while ago. I can see that you are very satisfied with the muscles shaped by the serum. Tony laughed and posed, showing off his chest muscles. My muscles are no worse than yours now, Leon. By the way, don't forget to give Pepper an injection of serum when you get back. She needs it. He thought for a moment. For now, let's use SS2 serum. Whether type 3 can be suitable for everyone still needs research. Don't worry, I won't forget Pepper even if you don't tell me. Leon threw the clothes to Tony. Let's go, Muscle Man. It's getting late today, and I still have things to do. It's Iron Man. Just wait. I will use biotechnology on my armor and leave your supermark far behind in one go. Tony threatened. You will know then. There is no limit to the power of Mark armor. Okay, I'll wait for your new armor. Leon waved his hand and left. Half a month passed quickly. The refugees in Raccoon City have basically completed the S-virus enhancement. Each of them turned into a powerful man with the strength of at least 5 tons. So Gil began to organize an army and prepare to march into the newly established kingdoms and other states to recover the lost lands. During this period, Leon mass-produced the final version of the S-virus and randomly distributed it to major survivor bases in various regions. Among them, the Rabbit Country received the largest dose of virus. By now they have completely recovered the border and even started to cross the Himalayas to help the completely occupied India to get through the difficulties. Besides, every day, Leon will clear out zombies all over the world or bask in the sunlight in space. But when night falls in Raccoon City, he sometimes returns to the city to rest for a while. After being strengthened with SS2 serum, Ada and Jill underwent earth-shaking changes. Today, the two of them can be said to be a combination of a vise and a furnace. This gave Leon a very different feeling. As for Tony charged with the main force during the day. His firepower is the most impressive on the battlefield. When encountering a super zombie, he will take off his armor. So he became the most powerful guy. At night, Tony would retreat to the laboratory to transform his Mark armor. It's just that the transformation process is always kept hidden. Leon didn't snoop on purpose and didn't know what progress he had made anyway. A world pushed to the brink of Doomsday. Now at last the dawn has broken. Leon's name began to spread all over the world. However, this person who brought hope was not called a savior. Everyone honors him with one word: God on Earth. Chapter 82 Doomsday. Time passes quickly in war. 5 months passed in a flash. The entire Resident Evil world has undergone tremendous changes in just 5 months. 11-month 15-day. Jill led his troops to retake the entire state of Colorado, and the zombies in the territory were basically eliminated. 11-month 30-day. Gil's troops successfully recaptured 4 states south of Colorado, including Texas. The number of new humans who have successfully undergone virus enhancement in the territory has increased to millions. 12-month 25-day. Get rid of the old officials and the 7 states under their rule. The rest of the Eagle Sauce territory was all under Jill's command. The number of new humans has reached tens of millions. 12-month 26-day. After spending their last Christmas, the old officials surrendered to the Colorado Republic. The Eagle Sauce unified the entire territory. 1999 1 month 1 day. The Republic of Seville, also known as the Republic of Survivors, was established and transformed into a republic with Raccoon City as its capital. Leon was hailed as the father of the nation and served as the first president. 1 month 2 day. Leon resigned from the parliament and the second chairman, Jill Valentine, took office. 1 month 31 day. All of North America came under the rule of the Republic of Seville. All the remnants of the umbrella corporation in the continent, as well as informal organizations such as the HCF organization and family organizations. They were all destroyed by the new human warriors' concentrated fire. Among them is Wesker, the leader of Umbrella Corporation. Jill punched it into the wall and it couldn't be pulled out anymore. 2 month 26 day. Zombies have been eradicated in most parts of the world. The number of new humans exceeded 300 million. Leon took the lead in organizing the remaining forces in the world to form an international joint organization. From then on, the entire Americas was governed by the Republic of Seville. All of Asia, all of Australia, and all of Africa are governed by the Rabbit Country, whose remaining population is still nearly 1 billion. The remaining tens of millions of people from countries such as the White Bear and the Gallic Rooster will jointly rule Europe. In the future, the International United Organization will be responsible for coordinating the conflicts among the 3 major forces and promoting the integration of the world's nations when necessary. Leon served as co-chair. The vice-chairman is Jill and Mr. Jew from Rabbit Country. Thus, the months-long Doomsday came to an end. This day was later designated as the new International Christmas. Celebrate the birth of a new world and a new human being. It also celebrates the coming of the God of the world to save the world from Doomsday and promote the integration of the world. 3 month 30 day. A new human joint force dispatched by the International Joint Organization successfully flattened all remaining infected areas on Earth. Even the experimental base that Umbrella secretly built on the seabed and the base in Antarctica. The main doors were blasted open and the zombies inside were dragged out, then humanely destroyed along with the base. On this day, the Earth turned blue again. And on the second day, Leon finally received the reward promised by the world consciousness. He was suspended alone between the earth and the sun, the golden sunlight blowing in his face, and every cell in his body was functioning in comfort. After 5 months of sun exposure, the strength of his single arm has increased to more than 170 million tons, gradually approaching the limit. Now, when he basks in the sun, the rate at which his strength grows has slowed down a lot. At a certain moment, invisible waves suddenly descended. The world consciousness connected to Leon's brain waves convey emotions of joy and gratitude. At the same time, half of the authority was transferred to him. Leon felt something indescribable rapidly integrating into his body. Suddenly the world in his eyes changed. It is no longer the sunlight, air, and dew that we see with our naked eyes. It is not the microscopic world that can be seen by supervision. Instead, it appears to be a mixture of various colored air currents and light spots such as red, blue, black, and white. He felt that his strength was rising infinitely at this moment, as if he had a fulcrum, and one bit of force could produce an effect 100 times or 1,000 times greater. He just slid his finger in the void of the universe, and huge waves hundreds of meters high rose up on the vast surface of the Pacific Ocean below. Not only that, he can also consume his own vitality, or something like his lifespan, to change the destiny of anyone in this world. or they are making up things that don't exist. Just like the enhancement given to him by the world consciousness before, and the special physique integrated into Tony's body. Those were all created by the world consciousness consuming its own upper limit. No wonder the other party couldn't give anything good before. It turns out that all the good things are the flesh cut from it. Leon understood. The so-called authority is a fulcrum that can move the entire world and the ability to control the world. He looked around the universe, and his supervision, which had a limited range, was extended to infinity after being blessed with authority. He saw beyond the solar system and saw the truth of the world of resident evil. Countless pieces of information naturally flowed into his eyes and into his brain. It was as if he was born to know these things and understand this information. I see. This world is only 10 times the size of the solar system. It can only be considered a small world as numerous as the grains of sand in the Ganges. The theme of the world is evolution, mutation, and survival. When these three concepts cannot continue to extend, the world will be destroyed. No wonder the world consciousness is always obsessed with promoting evolution. Now everything makes sense. But it doesn't end there. Soon the world consciousness rewarded with another gift. Gene's self-locking ability. This ability appeared out of thin air as a point of light, blending into Leon's body like water, and automatically became his innate skill. Thanks to the final form of the S-virus, the global human population has evolved and promoted the improvement of world consciousness. Otherwise, it really couldn't give this final gift. This ability can be used actively or kept as a passive one. Leon tried to pull out a hair and used his authority to empower his supervision, and found that the DNA chain in the hair follicle had completely turned into what he looked like before he was 18 years old, without any trace of krypton. That's a really nice ability. Leon smiled with satisfaction and communicated with his mind. I have received your payment. It's a pleasure to work with you. Remember to look for me next time you need help. The world consciousness does not understand the evil of human hearts. It just thinks that Leon is pretty good, immediately conveying emotions of joy and relief. Then it automatically left. The invisible waves receded like the tide, and spread to every corner of the world. We have taken all the benefits we deserved, fought all the battles we needed to fight, and exceeded our target of saving Tony's life. Leon floated outside the Earth, silently looking at the blue planet. It's time to leave too. He appeared in Raccoon City as if he had teleported. Now in this world, with the blessing of authority, his strength has reached the pinnacle of Godfather level. It can be said that it is no different from a real god. Leon quickly found Ada and Jill and explained his intention to leave. The two were reluctant to leave, but it was impossible for them to give up everything in their native world now. Especially Jill. She is now the chairman and is responsible for the survival of hundreds of millions of people. It is impossible for her to leave. Wait for me, Leon. When peace returns to this country, I will leave with you. Jill said sincerely. I'll go with her. She can't manage such a big place by herself. Ada crossed her arms. But before you leave, you still have to do some things well enough. It's not like I won't come back. Time flows faster here. I will come back often to bask in the sun. Leon has already informed the two of his abilities, and Shirley, let her leave with me. It's not convenient for anyone to take care of her here. You can say whatever you want, but now, do what you need to do. Ada grabbed Leon's collar. You owe me a lot of wages. Leon found Tony the next morning and explained his intention to leave. Tony can be said to be extremely happy during this period. Not only did he become a hero that everyone admired, the name Iron Man became known throughout the world. Moreover, it has made remarkable progress in the development of iron armor. However, he still kept silent about the specific results and vowed to give Leon a big shock. Heard you were leaving. Tony was still a little reluctant. He has already developed a relationship with the fans in this world. As soon as he went out, the admiring eyes of Bud, Elliot, and other little fans made him feel full of accomplishment. But he also wanted to go home. He still missed Pepper and the big bed at home very much. Then let's go, destroy the information that needs to be destroyed, and then say goodbye to everyone, to avoid another crisis like the one that happened a few months ago. Lion used heat rays to destroy all the products and data of the brothers' experiments. Afterwards, the two said goodbye to their friends one by one. In the central square of the city center of Raccoon City, there are 3 statues of Leon, Jill, and Tony. Leon and Tony waved to the people who were crying. They stood on both sides holding the jumping Shirley Birkin. Disappeared in the world of Resident Evil. Chapter 83 Shirley and 039's new home. Familiar underground garage. 3 figures, 2 large and 1 small, suddenly appeared. The electronic equipment in the garage immediately sounded the alarm. The disinfectant spray sprayed out from all directions, covering the 3 people, and it took a full half-minute to stop. It's the evening of the next day now. Tony glanced at the clock on the wall. Only 1 day has passed. It's not too bad. Tony, putting aside the time, I really think your arrangement is a bit exaggerated. After the spraying stops. On the other side, Leon opened his armor and walked out, wiping Shirley's face, which was wet from the spray, with his palm. This damn disinfectant has turned our little Shirley into an ugly duckling, ha-ha. He held the innocent little face in his hands and said, "Look at Shirley's innocent big eyes, Tony, doesn't your heart ache?" No, it's all this damn idiotic system's fault. Why does disinfection take so long? Tony also took off his armor and squatted in front of Shirley. Oh, look at this poor little princess. Her hair has turned into a wet towel. He slapped Mark Roman 4 behind him and said, "Uncle Tony will vent your anger." Shirley's slender eyebrows twitched and she puffed her lips. "You two, could it be that you did this on purpose?" She was touched at first by such careful care. But the truth is that when these 2 people expressed their concern, their expressions of trying not to laugh were too eye-catching. This suddenly reminded Shirley. In the central square of Raccoon City, these 2 villains were clearly not wearing armor at the beginning. But after Leon said, "Do you remember the disinfection procedures you set up when you left?" The 2 bad guys exchanged glances, put on their armor, and each of them held her hands affectionately. Shirley didn't think much of it at the time. I just felt like I was about to go to a new world, and my heart was filled with anxiety and endless joy. After all, when she gets there, she will face a whole new world and a whole new life, and she will be able to follow Brother Leon all the time. But now think about it. These 2 bad guys obviously did it on purpose. Little Shirley was so angry that her mouth flattened and she stared at Leon with her big watery eyes without saying a word. "You're still talking." Leon pushed Tony when he saw the situation was not good. "You're already mad at Shirley, and you're still laughing here. You have no conscience." Then he picked up Shirley with a big smile and put her on his shoulders. "Don't be angry, Shirley. We are not angry with the bad uncle. This is all his fault. He just likes to play tricks on people. Come on, I will take you to see your room." Leon carried Shirley upstairs while having the little girl was so amused that she burst into laughter and seemed to have forgotten that she had been sprayed with disinfectant for half a minute. There is clearly no shortage of vacant rooms in the Stark mansion. Shirley was assigned to the innermost room. After Leon introduced the smart devices in the room to her one by one, he left temporarily and let her organize her things first. Little Shirley sat on the sofa for a while, then jumped down and ran around the room on tiptoe. Whether it is curtains or lights that can be controlled by voice or gestures. It's still the holographic projection with many function buttons that pop up with just a light tap. It all made her feel novel. At this moment, she should have been feeling anxious and worried because she had suddenly come to an unfamiliar environment. But the pranks played by the 2 bad guys in the underground garage did not make Shirley feel the slightest bit of alienation. Her attention was all focused on various novel intelligent machines. In a doomsday environment like the Resident Evil world, most production came to a standstill. Clean food and water are becoming luxuries. In that environment, Shirley felt like she had become an ancient person. And now she is like an ancient person who suddenly broke into the modern world. After 2 or 3 hours of exploring the room, Shirley's curiosity was finally satisfied. Then she ran into the bathroom immediately, drew on the electronic screen, put her little doll on the sink, and took a comfortable bath night. After dinner, Leon knocked on the door again and found Shirley. "How is it? Are you used to it? After all, you will be staying here for the next few days." Leon and Shirley sat side by side. "I think they are all good, but it's amazing, brother. It's 2008 here, everything is so advanced." Shirley drew a circle in the air with her hands and asked tentatively, didn't you live here before? Are you going to move somewhere else in a few days?" "No, Tony and I have lived here since I was a child." Leon didn't understand Shirley's thoughts for a moment. When he saw the girl's expression quickly becoming uneasy, he realized that it was the words "stay for a few days" that caused Shirley to misunderstand him. "Don't let your imagination run wild. Since I brought you into this world, I will definitely take good care of you." Leon rubbed Shirley's head. He grabbed his own neck with both hands again. "If Jill finds out, she will kill me in a snap." Although Sister Jill is a bit violent, she can't beat you, brother." Shirley felt relieved immediately and her eyes narrowed with a smile. Leon smiled and explained, "I'm only staying for a few days because I'm going to move to New York and you'll follow me. Otherwise, I won't feel comfortable leaving you alone in Tony's care." He knew very well how badly Tony was at taking care of children. Moving to New York, Shirley thought of the New York in her own world that had been razed to the ground. To go to college? She remembered Leon mentioned going to college. "Not yet. I have set up an organization there, so I have to go and take a look. Also, Stark Group is going to build a building there, so I have to keep an eye on it." "That sounds awesome. What kind of organization is that?" "Something like Umbrella. How should I put it from the perspective of the organization's purpose? It seems to be similar." Leon took out a storybook. "Tomorrow I will take you to meet some sisters in the organization, and then you will know. As for now, do you want me to tell you a few bedtime stories?" Shirley's eyes lit up and she nodded quickly. "William and Yannick never told her a story. I'm going to bed now." Little Shirley jumped off the sofa, leaped onto the bed, and covered herself with the quilt, leaving only her head exposed. She looked like a baby bird waiting to be fed, with an expression of "I'm ready for a story" written all over her face. Leon burst out laughing. It was his decision to adopt Shirley, and Tony supported it. In the original story, this little girl was so pitiful that it made people feel sorry for her. When she was 12 years old, she was hunted by her mutated father and treated coldly by her mother. After escaping death, he was taken under control by an official organization and used for human experiments on the G virus. It was not until I was 26 that I gained limited freedom. But even so, she did not become disgusted with the world because of her terrible experience. Instead, after the suffering, they chose to embark on the path of protecting more people from being harmed by biological viruses. How can we not admire and like such a strong girl? Okay, let's start with Andersen's fairy tales. Have you read Andersen? What he wrote at the beginning was actually Leon sat by the bed, his tone soothing like water flowing around a canal. Soon Shirley fell asleep, her breathing becoming longer and longer. Children just fall asleep quickly. "Good night, Shirley." Leon closed the book, gently combed Shirley's hair, closed the door and left the room. He then walked to the laboratory, and as soon as he entered the door, he saw Tony frantically covering a battle armor with a black cloth. "Leon, remember to knock on the door next time you enter the laboratory," Tony turned around with an angry look on his face. Chapter 84, New Organization Building. Knock. Does this lab even have doors? They're all made of glass. Leon walked over. What are you doing? Why did you prepare cover-up props in advance? Specially to protect against me. Judging from its shape, this must be your new battle armor. Why didn't I see you wearing it when you came back? Leon was curious and wanted to lift the black cloth, but Tony slapped his arm. Back off. Stay away from my baby. Keep more than 3 meters away. Tony opened his arms like an eagle protecting his cub. What? Leon stretched out his finger and pointed. Are you trying to do this? Did you forget that I can see through things? Who would have thought that Tony would put his hands on his hips and say, perspective? You can try it now. Leon raised his eyebrows and turned on the perspective function directly, but he couldn't see through the black cloth. He was stunned for a moment, then reacted, Thank you for the generous gift. You also plated the cloth with lead. Are you trying to build an anti-Superman armor? You're wrong. Tony sneered, holding his shoulders. Anti-Superman armor will be available in the future, but this set of armor will definitely exceed your understanding. So I can't let you even see it before it's officially unveiled. Tony was extremely confident. Just wait. When the day comes for the battle with the 10 Rings gang, I will surely surprise you like a frog jumping out of a well for the first time. That means there's still another month. Leon looked at the humanoid armor covered in black cloth. Then I hope you can really shock me instead of making me laugh. Tony waved his hand. So what do you want to talk about? If you have nothing else, leave quickly. I still need to continue to build the armor. I plan to take Shirley to New York tomorrow, and I want to ask if you want to come with us. Leon shrugged. It seems you can't spare the time now. New York? To your newly built office building? Yes, go find Natasha and get Shirley an ID, and introduce her to the widow agents. I have no objection, but I really can't leave tomorrow. Please say hello to the girls for me. Tony said, One last question. Does that mean that Shirley will also be called Stark from tomorrow on? No, still Birkin. Leon shook his head. Although both of her parents are not very good, this surname is her only connection with the past. You can't really cut Shirley off from everything in the past just because the world has changed, right? That would be as horrible as denying the first 12 years of her life. Well, it's hard for me to refute you this time. Tony nodded. I didn't expect that this big boy who is always rebellious can be so empathetic. Who is the rebel in this family? Are you sure you are not talking about yourself? Leon slapped Tony on the back of his head and went upstairs. Early the next morning, Leon took Shirley, who had just had breakfast, to New York. He flew through the clouds, and along the way little Shirley screamed and exclaimed one after another. The two finally landed on the roof of a 30-story office building in the Franklin district. After landing, Shirley raised her hands and jumped up and cheered, Great. It feels completely different from flying on a plane. Do it again, Brother Leon, do it again when we go back. No problem, no problem. Leon swiped his card to open the alley door on the roof. You can fly as long as you want when you go back. As soon as the two entered the door, a prompt sound came from the electronic system. Master Leon, welcome to the New Technology Building. Jarvis subsystem keeps the place running. New Technology Building. The previous company in this building was called New Technology. Leon took Shirley into the elevator. Yes, before you acquired it, this place belonged to the New Technology Light Industrial Manufacturing Company. The establishment of a new organization requires an apparent headquarters in New York. Consider the countless crises New York may face in the future. Leon chose this office building, which is not too tall but not too short either. This kind of building is easy to use and you won't feel bad if it collapses. As for all the commercial processes of the acquisition and the subsequent renovation work, It was Natasha and the Widow agents who carried out the work with the help of Jarvis. This is the first time that Leon has walked into this place. Is Natasha in the office now? Leon asked. She's fighting AIM in Tennessee, sir. Oh yeah. I almost forgot after spending a few months in Resident Evil. She mentioned before that she wanted to acquire AIM and bring it under Stark's control. Leon patted his forehead. How is her progress over there? Does she need help? MS. Natasha is currently fighting with the other party's president and cannot respond to your question for the time being, Jarvis said. Is the acquisition process so violent? I'm really in time. Leon looked toward Tennessee. The site penetrates layers of barriers. I saw Natasha kicking Killian to the ground with a split kick. SHH, that must be painful. Leon muttered. Killian, who has not been injected with the extremis virus, is of course no match for Natasha. Leon didn't pay any more attention. It was just a matter of solving an immature cutting-edge technology, and it was easy for Natasha and the Widow agents to do it. He changed the subject. How many people are in the office building now? There are 145 agents working on the renovations in the building, Master. I guess only Leon would use the best agents to decorate his house. But the Widow agents are happy with it. This building will only be used by them from now on. They transformed it themselves. Not only can you build it the way you want, but you can also experience the feeling of being the master. The best of both worlds. Leon still remembers it. In the movie, Elena just made up her mind to change the button pattern of a coat, but she felt that the coat was extremely precious, because that was the first time in her life that she experienced freedom. Most of the Widow agents are here. They really like decorating. Leon sighed and asked again, where is Yelena? She is painting a mural in the lobby on the first floor, Master. Murals? Leon asked. Let's go to the first floor and see if there are any murals in the decoration design. No, sir. Jarvis replied. I have selected the first floor for you. The elevator began to descend. Shirley held Leon's hand quietly, observing the surroundings with curiosity and silently writing down the names Leon mentioned. Soon the elevator door opened. Before I even took a step outside, a mural with red and blue as the main colors came into view. It was a Superman cartoon. The Superman in the painting looks 70% similar to Leon, but he is wearing a traditional uniform, that is, underwear outside. Leon's brain immediately froze. Brother Leon, that's you? You look so handsome in it. But why are you wearing your red underwear outside? Little Shirley added. Chapter 85, Two Seals. That's not me. Leon tried to defend himself. But the smiling cartoon face on the wall made him feel powerless. At this time, the sound of quarreling was heard in the distance. Leon walked out of the elevator with Shirley, his eyes scanning the walls, and blood vessels in his forehead were faintly bulging. The first floor of this building covers an area of tens of thousands of square meters. All the small workshops and offices that once existed were demolished. Today, there is only a central reception desk, a visitor lounge separated by transparent glass on both sides, and an elevator that goes straight up and down. This design is said to have come from a Widow agent. She previously ran a multinational design firm for Red House. When designing this building, she took simplicity, meditation, and release as the themes and led her team to draw up the blueprints overnight. Now, when you walk in, you can see that the design of the building is indeed spacious and makes people feel relaxed and happy at first sight. But what about those colorful cartoon paintings covering the walls? Wouldn't it look strange to paint colorful and complicated patterns in a simple glass room? Most importantly, why are they all Superman? Or Captain Underpants with his face drawn on it? Leon took a deep breath and covered Shirley's eyes, feeling that his reputation would be ruined today. Look at the other side at the end of the first floor. A dozen Widow agents gathered together to argue. Leon lets go of his super hearing. The drawing here is wrong. Listen to me, boss's chest muscles are not that small. I checked it myself. Yelena's voice was hoarse. And the mural of Superman vs. Batman should be drawn like this, with the boss holding Batman's head with his biceps full of power. So cool. No, no, someone retorted. We've already drawn a mural of Superman clamping Wonder Woman's head with his biceps. Here we should have Superman using his latissimus dorsi to hit Batman. That's a good idea. Several people agreed. Then draw this and give the boss a surprise when he comes. Yelena waved her fist. Surprise? Yelena, please define what is a surprise? Leon's voice sounded behind everyone. He fell from the air carrying Shirley. The surprise is of course these things on the wall that I carefully crafted. Yelena turned around and saw Leon's unfriendly gaze, and she had a premonition that something bad was about to happen to her. She began to stammer, the surprise is whatever the boss says is what it is. Leon slapped Natasha on the forehead as she was used to. Don't do these fancy things, it will be a surprise for me. Boss, you like Superman, so I drew so many of them. Yelena felt aggrieved. I drew all of them with my heart. Is this me in your drawing? Have you ever seen my uniform look like this? Leon questioned. Yelena was stunned for a moment. I understand. Leon resisted the urge to curse. You beast, what do you know? You understand again? I get it. It turns out that you don't like wearing underwear, boss. You're not as perverted as in the comics. Yelena clapped her hands. She held up 2 oil brushes. Then I will change the underwear now. Leon's eyes went dark. What did it mean that he didn't like wearing underwear? That was such a vicious thing to say. There was a little kid next to him. Look at little Shirley again. Her eyes are wide open and her mouth is open into an O shape. She is looking back and forth between Leon and Superman on the wall. Don't listen to this guy's nonsense. Leon pinched Shirley's cheek and pulled it. She has a problem with her brain nerves. Oh. Shirley nodded repeatedly with her cheeks puffed up. Leon shook his head and looked at Yelena again. I am beginning to regret letting you become the 2nd-generation Black Widow. Why, boss? There was confusion in Yelena's eyes. Because I'm afraid that one day other widows will be assimilated by you. Leon waved his hand at the other widows. I have no other requests. You can decide how to decorate this place, but my face must not appear on the murals again. No image of it is allowed. Upon hearing this, more than a dozen widows nodded in agreement, and each of them actually felt a little disappointed. Yelena, come with me. Leon sighed and took Yelena and Shirley, who were constantly exchanging eye contact, into the elevator. Except for the 1st floor, which Yelena painted to look like a DC fan club. The other floors are all normal. The widow agents divided the work among themselves. Some are operating robotic arms to install alloy interlayers. Some were repairing circuits with lithium-ion drills and needle-nosed pliers and wearing protective masks. Hundreds of people were showing off their skills. All of them were all-round experts who could climb mountains and swim in the sea. Leon took Shirley and greeted the widow agents one by one. Finally, Yelena was arranged to take Shirley to deal with the identity issue. As for when the 2 of them left, Shirley quietly asked, are Leon's muscles really that beautiful? And Yelena nodded like pounding garlic. Leon pretended not to see or hear anything. For the rest of the day, Leon just walked around the building casually. When he meets a widow agent who needs help, he steps forward to lend a hand. As for Shirley, she had been assimilated by Yelena, and after finishing their business, the 2 ran up and down the building together, playing hide-and-seek. Perhaps because of her age, the little girl is very popular among the widows. When they saw such a lively girl, it was like seeing themselves before they were sent to the Red Room. Every time it was Shirley's turn to look for the hidden Yelena, she would receive cryptic reminders from the widows. It was not until the evening, after having dinner with everyone, that Leon took Shirley away. Goodbye, sister. Brother Leon said we will move to New York in a while. I will come to see you then. Shirley and Yelena said goodbye reluctantly. Yelena put her hands on her mouth and shouted, "Little Shirley, I will miss you. Boss, you have to come to New York soon." "No, stay away from Shirley. It's better to turn your back to her every time you meet her." Leon couldn't understand from the bottom of his heart how Yelena could become close friends with a girl as young as Shirley. Could it be because the two people's actual psychological ages are similar? "Ah, boss, how could you do this?" Yelena bent forward in frustration. It was another fast flight in the air. Shirley, who had been playing all day, was still full of energy and cheering and screaming. When they got home, Leon put Shirley down and suddenly his ears moved. He raised his finger to signal Shirley to lower her footsteps, and the two of them tiptoed to the stairs together. Two heads, one big and one small, popped out from the corner of the wall. In the lab, Pepper and Tony, wearing only vests, were intertwined with each other, their heads twisting back and forth. "Wow, Tilda, is that Uncle Tony's new friend?" Shirley had seen Tony do this with many people. "Well, I think that lady might be Tony's only friend in the future." Leon touched his chin. "He means it this time." These two people had never done anything so intimate before. Now it is clear that the relationship has made a breakthrough. Leon could tell at a glance that Pepper had just undergone a strengthening with the SS2 serum. It is estimated that Tony took advantage of the time when the strengthening was over and Pepper was deeply moved to finally confirm the relationship. "Alas, our prodigal son will have to settle down in the future." Leon sighed. So, are those big waves in the Resident Evil world actually Tony's last bachelor party? Seeing that the two people's actions were becoming more and more intense, he quickly covered Shirley's eyes and went back upstairs. "Let's go back to the house and tell a story, Shirley. Here, there are just two seals fighting over grapes. There's nothing interesting to see." After Leon coaxed Shirley to sleep, he also wanted to take a rare nap at home. But he was clearly a little naive. Two people with the strength of tens of tons but without a biological force field are exercising vigorously at home. The noise was so loud that it seemed as if the floor was shaking. One can't help but worry whether this luxurious villa will collapse in the next second. These are not two seals quarreling. They are clearly two elephants singing and dancing. Leon tossed and turned and finally got out of bed helplessly. He knew it was really time for him to move out. Tony and Pepper have confirmed their relationship, so naturally they need their own private space. Not to mention the noise they made while moving, there was no room for a third person. Leon decided to talk to Tony about moving tomorrow. As for tonight, I'll go back to Resident Evil to bask in the sun. He also planned to take Shirley with him when he left. But the little girl was still able to sleep soundly in this house that was shaking and making loud noises. He even smacked his lips and changed his posture from time to time. In the end, Leon had no choice but to go to the Resident Evil world alone, ready to bask in the sun for a few months before returning. With his current strength, the energy required to travel through the biochemical world is less than 1,000th of his physical strength. So he chose to go back to the moment he had just left without hesitation, and his figure disappeared in the Marvel Universe. Chapter 86: Genetic Optimization. Early the next morning, Leon appeared in his bedroom on time at 7 o'clock. He spent 40 days in the biohazard, and exactly 8 hours had passed when he returned. In more than a month, he gained another 30,000 tons of strength. He also filled Ada and Jill's salary. Now, as his strength grows, the energy stored in his body is becoming more and more huge. From then on, night fell every day. He can even use the time difference to go to the Resident Evil world to improve his strength. Even when traveling back and forth between the two worlds, he can also travel back to the time when he last disappeared, as if he had never left. The weather in Los Angeles is exceptionally good today. The early morning sunlight flows over the sea below the cliff and flows into the house. While it was still early, Leon went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast. After a while, Shirley came out rubbing her eyes. Tony and Pepper soon got up as well. In the past, with the amount of exercise they did last night, they would have had to be admitted to the ICU this morning. But after being injected with the serum, the two of them were completely different from before. The house was almost demolished a few hours ago, but now they all have rosy faces and are sitting at the table full of energy, eating the dumplings prepared by Leon. Everything was harmonious and joyful at the table. Leon introduced Shirley to Pepper, who rubbed the little girl's cheek and was equally fond of this well-behaved girl. When they were almost done eating, Leon started talking about moving. "You mean, you're going to move to New York with Shirley?" Tony stuffed bun skin in his mouth and looked at Pepper. "That's right. The new company and organization are both over there, so I can take care of them there." Leon put the dishes into the dishwasher. "Is that so? That's not bad either." Tony grabbed Pepper's hand on the table. "It's good that you leave, kid. If you leave, no one will stop me from bringing beautiful girls home all day long." Pepper pinched Tony hard. "Which other beauty do you want to take home?" "Oh, who do you think it could be? Who else is a beauty here?" Tony exclaimed, and then looked at Shirley. "Of course, Shirley is a little beauty, not a formal beauty." Pepper was angry and amused. She always had no way to deal with Tony. "Why do you think about these things every day? Do you have to tease me?" "I can't help it." Tony blurted out the sweet words. "Some people are just too beautiful, but they don't know it at all. I have to remind them." "Huh? You're talking about me?" Pepper was stunned. "Pepper, you haven't looked in the mirror since you injected the serum, right? Honestly, you can definitely make Tony lose his mind now." Leon pulled out a mirror from somewhere and handed it to Pepper. SS serum is a genetic optimization and even evolution type of agent. Improving the appearance of the injector is only the most basic ability it comes with. After all, when a person's genes evolve, the body's immune system is greatly strengthened and skeletal muscles become perfect. How could this person not look beautiful and handsome? You have to know that human aesthetics is based on the pursuit of superior genes. The better a person's genes are, the more their appearance conforms to the definition of beauty. Just like Jill and Ada had said to Leon several times. Said he was like a humanoid succubus. As long as you smell his natural scent, their bodies will spontaneously produce the urge of desire. That is, the body becomes limp, the legs become weak, the eyes become wet, and one cannot walk. That is a desire that comes from genetic instinct. If Leon hadn't been covering himself with a biological force field, there's no telling how many girls would have fallen. This shows how much influence genetic strength has on personal charm. Although the SS serum cannot transform a person's genes to be as powerful as Leon's, it should not be underestimated. Today, Pepper has fair skin and a beautiful face with a perfect figure. She would be too thin if she was a pound too much, and even her freckles have disappeared. "Is this really me? Oh my God, Tony, what did you inject me yesterday?" Pepper covered her mouth in disbelief. She thought she was just getting stronger. It was only through the previous intense exercise that she was able to master the explosive power. Unexpectedly, even his appearance had changed drastically. She in the mirror still has some of her former features and temperament. It can be said to be another perfect version of Pepper. Are you happy now?" Tony winked. "No need to thank me. After all, I can't tolerate my assistant being outdone by others." "Thank you, Tony." Pepper was already used to Tony's awkwardness. She looked at Tony steadily, eyes full of tenderness. The two of them were getting closer and closer. Leon couldn't help but cough lightly. "You two seals, are you sure you want to start doing something Shirley can't watch now?" Shirley blinked and looked at Leon. "What's the matter, brother Leon? Why can't I see it?" It's just two people hugging each other and fighting over grapes. She had seen Tony do this many times before in the police station. Cough, cough, cough. Tony suddenly started coughing violently. Leon's words couldn't shake Tony at all, but Shirley's innocent question immediately made him embarrassed. Tony and Pepper quickly separated. Tony adjusted his sleeves to hide his embarrassment and couldn't help waving at Leon. Okay, go, go, don't you want to move? Hurry up and leave. You only know how to annoy me at home every day. Move as far away as you can. This time, Pepper actually agreed. It happens that there are only 2 months left before school starts in September. It's good for you to go to New York to adapt in advance, Leon. And Stark Group plans to build a building in Manhattan and move its headquarters there. It will be very convenient for us to meet then. Leon raised his hand. Thank you for the approval of both parents. I will take Shirley to see the house today. Wait, are you and Shirley the only ones in that house in New York? Pepper thought of something. She was a little skeptical. Are you sure you can take care of Shirley while taking care of yourself? You are just a big kid yourself. No matter how old a child is, he or she will always be a child in the eyes of his or her parents. How about that? Let me take care of Shirley. Pepper thought about how she was busy with company affairs and couldn't get away. Don't worry, there will actually be other people there, Leon said. I have built a company with many wonderful girls who will come and help take care of Shirley. And Shirley is smart and can take care of herself. Leon pointed at Tony. You can ask Tony for the details, I won't say more. He patted Shirley on the head, and the little girl jumped off the chair obediently and grabbed his hand naturally. I'm leaving. Contact me if you need anything later. Leon took Shirley and flew up, or see you when you get to New York. 2 figures, one big and one small, disappeared in the restaurant in the blink of an eye. Even the enhanced Pepper couldn't capture Leon's trajectory. Oh, Leon, he has become so strong now. Pepper opened her mouth slightly. He really is becoming more and more like Superman. Yeah, he's grown up now. We don't have to worry about him anymore. Let's go. We haven't finished talking before. Tony gradually approached Pepper. Chapter 87, Underground Base. We'll be living here from now on. In Brooklyn, Leon lands with Shirley. In fact, he had already bought this residence in New York together with the organization building. The address is in a residential area a few blocks away from the building. He bought an entire high-end apartment building. The apartment building has 26 floors, with 4 households on each floor. He specifically asked Natasha to connect the 4 rooms on the 16th floor, intending to use them for his temporary residence. Now there is another person, Shirley, who has come to move in with her luggage. As for the other floors, they are allocated freely by the widow agents. There aren't many of them who live permanently in New York, so this place is enough for them to stay. Leon took Shirley around the house. First, I took her to see each functional area and then assigned her the rooms. Then they set out for the building together. Yeah, I can see Sister Yelena again so soon. Little Shirley cheered. Leon slapped her on the top of her head. You little carrot head, why do you like Yelena so much? Don't let her lead you astray. But Sister Yelena is a very nice person, and she looks very kind when she smiles. Kind? Leon recalled the silly look on Yelena's face when she smiled at him. She seemed really kind. After all, what bad intentions can a fool have? His mind is so straight that it can run at a high speed, so how can he not be kind? You can learn her strengths, fighting techniques and skills, but don't learn her way of thinking. Oh, okay. Shirley nodded obediently. The distance between the building and the residence is indeed very close. Leon and Shirley arrived at the top of the building in a flash. It just so happened that Natasha was also in the building at this time. She was covered in dust and playing with her sisters. As soon as she saw Leon, she wiped her hands and handed him a document. The equity transfer document of Pioneer Technology. Leon took the document and flipped through it. Well done, Nada. I saw it all yesterday. Their president was beaten to a pulp by you. Especially that split, it's beautiful. By the way, what happened to Killian? He inquired. In prison. Natasha wiped the dust off her face with a towel. I contacted the police through Stark's channels and sent the evidence and the person to prison. It probably won't take a few days for the news to report that he has been sentenced to more than 10 years in prison. Leon put away the documents. I thought you would just kill him. No, if it's not necessary, let the law handle it. Natasha blinked her right eye. After all, Stark's power is enough to give him a fair judgment, otherwise I would probably kill him. This is a very fair decision. Leon nodded. Natasha has killed enough people in the past decade or so. Now, she is not willing to kill anyone except when necessary. Who is the girl next to you? Can you introduce her to me? Natasha noticed Shirley and smiled at her. Then he quietly asked Leon, could she be your brother's daughter outside the kind you didn't know about before? No, she is a girl I adopted and she is temporarily registered with Tony. You know, even though I'm almost 19, I'm not old enough to adopt a child. Her name is Shirley. Leon touched Shirley's head. Shirley, this sister is the Natasha I mentioned before. She lives downstairs from us. You can always look for her if you have any problems in the future. Okay. Shirley smiled shyly. Hello, Sister Natasha. Sister Yelena mentioned you yesterday and said you are amazing. Yelena. She will mention me again. Natasha squatted down. She had a good first impression of this little girl. She and Yelena are already close friends. Leon shrugged. They even played hide-and-seek all day yesterday. That's exactly what Yelena would do. Natasha also felt that her sister was sometimes childish. Let's go find Yelena. I have something to ask you too. Leon took the two of them to the first floor in the elevator. After one night, all the murals here have changed. Although it is still Superman fighting various DC heroes. But Superman's face was changed to the classic butt chin. As soon as the 3 Lion players appeared, Yelena slid onto the field. Welcome, boss. Boss, what do you think of the mural now? As soon as she met me, she couldn't wait to show me her paintings, with her hands wide open and her teeth shining. It looks much better now, Leon commented, but I suggest you add some superheroes from our universe. Our universe? Yelena was confused. Are you talking about Iron Man? Wouldn't it be a bit monotonous to include him alone? There will be more and more in the future. Leon motioned for her to follow. Come on, let's go to the underground laboratory. The elevator continued to descend and stopped on the 2nd underground floor. As early as last week, this place was renovated by the Widow agents as a priority. Now you need Jarvis authorization to enter. The elevator door opened, and an area completely different from the upper building suddenly caught the eyes of the 4 people. Rows of circular fluorescent lights light up one by one into the deepest part the moment the elevator door opens. The entire open space is illuminated, making it as bright as an open-air platform. The hall, which is mainly white, is like the first floor, with an area of over 10,000 square meters and is divided into sections with regular patterns of glass. Several people looked around at the elevator entrance, and the modern dome and the smooth and dust-free pearl white marble floor were all in sight. At this moment, holographic images were projected on hundreds of neatly arranged white lacquered office desks. Compared with this underground space full of modern technological atmosphere, the first floor, with its colorfully painted walls, is simply a slum. No one could have imagined it. Just taking an elevator, it feels like a different world. Wow! Little Shirley looked up and around exaggeratedly. She felt that even the Underground Research Institute in Raccoon City was far from being so advanced. It's like walking into the future, she exclaimed. Then let your sister Yelena take you to visit here. Leon touched Shirley's head. Elena's eyes lit up when she heard that. Come on, Shirley, come with me. This place was designed by the boss himself. Many of the rooms are very hidden, perfect for playing hide and seek. Really? Sister, please take me to see it. Brother Leon, let's go. The two friends, regardless of age difference, immediately jumped up and went into the depths of the hall hand in hand. Natasha looked at the two people's backs and held her forehead with her hand. What should I say? It turns out that Yelena has reached the age where she can get along well with elementary school students. Well, actually, it's good for her to be like this. It means that the Red House didn't leave too many shadows on her. Okay, I can't make it up anymore. She is just childish. Leon is also hard to describe. I don't know when that guy will mature. Natasha paused and asked. They walked away. Leon, you sent Yelena away. You want to say something to me, right? Chapter 88 Widow Agent Super Evolution. There is indeed something very important. It's like this. Tony and I went to another world together a few days ago, so the serum I mentioned earlier has been prepared. Leon briefly summarizes his experience in the Resident Evil world. Then he said bluntly, except for Tony and the others, this matter will only be told to you for now. As for Yelena, don't let her know for now. You mean, traveling through the world, biological apocalypse, savior. Oh my god, Natasha looked at Leon in surprise. I didn't expect you to have such a rich experience these days. We really can't let Yelena and the others know about this. It's not that I don't trust you, but the fewer people who know about it, the better. Natasha quickly spoke from Leon's perspective. She thought of the regenerative ability that Leon had mentioned and felt a little nervous but also a little expectant. So, you plan to inject us with the serum you two brothers developed? That's right. As an organization under my command, it can't be composed entirely of ordinary people. Leon nodded. He raised his finger, but there still needs to be an incentive mechanism after the organization is established. I will inject you and Yelena with SS2 serum, and the others will use SS1 for now. Then set SS2 serum as a reward for outstanding contributions. You can create a contribution value evaluation system to give others a goal. Got it. Natasha pointed at her eyebrows with two fingers. Then when do we start? Now. In the laboratory. Leon secured Natasha and Yelena to the experimental table separately. Shirley was sent back to the first floor and asked to paint murals with other widows. Boss, is this serum really more powerful than the super soldier serum? Am I going to be the next Captain America soon? Even though Yelena was tied to the stage, her mind and mouth were busy. She craned her neck to look at Leon, imagining herself kicking Hydra and punching Shield after being strengthened. Moreover, her thoughts were very jumpy. She was thinking about fighting in the last second and jumped back to the present in the next second. Just like a frog croaking by the river, you don't know whether it is going to jump into the water or jump onto the shore. Boss, do we really have to wear such cool clothes after injecting the serum? Are Natasha and I going to turn into monsters soon? It would be bad if you turned into a monster, and it would be better if you didn't grow too much muscle because that wouldn't look good. Shut up. Natasha and Leon couldn't stand it anymore and shouted at the same time. Keep quiet, okay. Yelena was startled and nodded her head quickly to look away. Okay, you have the final say. Leon simply increased the speed of adding nutrient solution behind the operating table. Then he took out the serum directly, injected it himself, and blocked Yelena's mouth as quickly as possible. With the injection of serum, Natasha and her boyfriend experienced a shedding and rebirth similar to Tony's. First, their body temperature continues to rise until their cuticles are carbonized. After a while, the carbon layer suddenly shattered again. Two pink and white figures, as tender as freshly peeled chicken heads, were revealed. Leon used his ability of perspective to observe briefly and determined that the strengthening was over and the effect was very obvious. Natasha and her partner's genes evolved successfully, and their physical strength increased exponentially. The most important thing is that the defects in their bodies were perfectly repaired at this time. When he untied the two people and put the clothes on the table on them, Natasha and Yelena also woke up. After a brief moment of confusion, they turned over and sat up, and the surge in strength directly crushed the experimental table. This is Natasha sat on the ground, looking at her arms and touching the muscles that had become tough and elastic. She felt like a different person. Her whole body was filled with explosive power, and her physical strength seemed endless. Even Yelena didn't scream at this time. I don't know when flames started igniting in this idiot's hands. She stared at the flames blankly, while stroking her abdomen with a complicated expression. Boss, the renovation of the red house, she spoke incoherently. Leon knew what Elena wanted to say. Yes, the serum can regenerate your body. What you once lost has now become a new puzzle, making you perfect again. Is this really true? Elena's voice trembled. The transformation that the Red House once performed on the Widow agents. They were left with irreparable pain. Whether it is the meticulous Natasha or the lively Elena, they have never let go of this deep scar in their hearts. Of course, from now on you will be no different from those girls on the street. Don't doubt it, Elena, Leon said. He leaned against the operating table behind him and waved his hands. But don't thank me too much. This is just part of the employee benefits. I told you, you won't regret following me. Boss. Elena burst into tears. You. I love you so much. She dropped the clothes in her hands and rushed towards Leon with tears in her eyes. Don't be so excited. Your tears have rubbed against my clothes. Hey, why are you still rubbing them? It was like a koala was hanging on Leon's body. The two of them pushed each other and actually pushed each other behind the operating table and fell to the ground. On the other side, Natasha also had sparkling eyes and had so many things she wanted to say to Leon. But when she stood up, her expression suddenly became strange, and she looked at the console. Hey, what's that sound, Elena? What are you doing? You are my sister. You can't. Natasha quickly got to the operating table and even stepped on the floor to make a small hole, just to stop her sister from being too enthusiastic. Although the permanent pain in Yelena's heart and body was suddenly filled, it was understandable that she was a little excited. But it would be bad to wipe the tears onto Leon. Natasha felt she had to stop her sister's disrespectful behavior. It's just that she was also very excited, and as she tried to stop them, she couldn't help but become rude and started to cry bitterly. In the next few days, with Natasha's assistance, Leon injected the Widow agents with SS1 serum one by one. At this moment of winning people's hearts and improving relationships, of course he has to take action personally. After strengthening them all, the agents, who already had extraordinary combat power, have now been transformed into human cannonballs. These days they even have to walk carefully, for fear that they might accidentally break the tiles by stepping on them too hard. Fortunately, the SS serum not only strengthens their bodies, but also their brains. It probably won't take long for the Widow agents to get familiar with the surge in power. Their recognition of the new organization is also increasing. When Leon appeared, these girls who were already loyal to him became even more passionate, and their fiery eyes seemed to be really burning. Natasha saw all this. She had no doubt that once the current Widow agents really began to show their claws, it would shake the world. Chapter 89, Formation of the Men in Black. Natasha even approached Leon for help. She felt that the opportunity to destroy Hydra had arrived. Leon, when should we start the action? Wait a little longer. Let the message Nick Fury received fly for a while. Tony went to Nick Fury's mailbox and sent a list of some Hydra members within SHIELD. I think after so much time has passed, it's time for the results to emerge. Leon stood in front of the French window, watching the traffic on Brooklyn Street. He could hear Nick Fury cursing loudly at the SHIELD headquarters in another city district. Be patient, Nada. The right time will come soon. But don't waste this time. The widows have just been strengthened. The previous combat methods that mainly relied on sneak attacks and quick attacks are no longer applicable. Now we need to let them rediscover a new fighting mode that suits their own strengths. Next, you take Yelena with you to train the widows to control their powers and decorate the building at the same time. Of course, the mission to rescue the remaining widows must continue. I believe Nick Fury won't keep us waiting too long. Natasha nodded. I understand. A week later, there was no sign of Nick Fury's movement yet. The new organization building has completed the final decoration. Even the widow agents around the world have been liberated. Out of a total of more than 300 agents, including the Natasha sisters, 313 of them finally stayed and joined Lyon's forces. These people were carefully examined by Leon when they first met. None of them had been brainwashed by other organizations, nor were there any Skrulls who could be trusted. On this day, in the conference room on the top floor of the building, Lyon gathered more than 300 people here. This room is called a conference room, but it is actually built to look like a large gathering place. It ends in a semicircular platform. On both sides are Roman-style carved stone columns. The walls are yellow-brown stone walls with a historic feel. Even the door to the conference room is an iron door engraved with a picture of Christ's ascension. Leon stood on the high platform, wearing a Superman uniform, as solemn as a priest in the ancient Greek temple of Zeus convening a meeting of believers. The believers all looked up at the bottom of the steps, waiting for the priest to announce the oracle with expressions of reverence and anticipation. Everyone, our organization is officially established today. Lyon stood on the stage with his arms folded across his chest, his cape fluttering silently. I am honored to have you join me. Without knowing anything about the purpose and objectives of the organization, you do this out of trust and gratitude towards me. Choose to join this organization unconditionally. This is the part that touched me. I believe that in the future you will never regret this decision. But I want to say this first. This organization will exist from the moment it is established until infinity. There is only one core purpose and objective. That's what serves me. This is the only reason why I saved you. If you have any objections, you may raise them now. Leon looked around at the widows present and waited for a few seconds, but no one showed any dissatisfaction. Even most of them showed excited expressions. Their eyes flickered and their bodies trembled slightly. If we weren't in a serious meeting right now, Leon felt that these people might not be able to help but excitedly shout their allegiance to Superman. Especially Yelena. This silly girl's eyes rolled around, sometimes happy and sometimes dazed, and no one knew what she was thinking. Leon pursed his lips and continued. No one seems to have any objections. Well, I declare. The Men in Black organization is officially established. From now on, you are the first batch of the organization and the most core members in the future. The core purpose of the organization is to serve me. The secondary goal is to protect our planet. The movie Men in Black is also part of the Marvel Universe, and Lyon felt it was reasonable to borrow this name. He took a few steps on the stage, waved his hand, and a holographic image was projected into the hall. The reason for doing this world is not limited to the organizations and forces that you have known in the past. Under the undercurrent, our Earth has aliens from the other side of the universe. Green-skinned aliens appeared in the projection. There are also hidden extraordinary forces. The projection switched to the Wizard of Camertage and the villagers using Kai in Daluo village. These were all made by Leon himself using special effects. And the gods who nominally rule our planet, projections of Odin and Thor, appeared in the center of the hall. The widow agents were all stunned. They never knew that the world was so wonderful and always thought that the Red House was one of the top forces. Lyon's tone changed at this time. Some of them have a friendly attitude, some are the patron saints of this world, and some pretend to be friendly but are secretly plotting against this planet. What we in black have to do is to hide in the dark and nip all these threats from the outside world in the bud. There is always a world-destroying crisis in the Marvel world from time to time. Some may come from high-ranking multiverse-level bigwigs. Some may just come from an ordinary scientist or an ambitious entrepreneur. This Earth always moves to the brink of destruction in various forms. Lion felt that he needed to create a lock to intercept these threats in advance. Otherwise, if he came back from another world one day and found that the Earth had exploded, he would not find it strange at all. But we're not trying to be the world's babysitter. Lion then raised his arms and shouted, "We are the men in black. We are a net and a sword hanging over everyone's head, strangling all threats from outside or inside. Now, everyone follow me and take the oath." Leon floats in the air. All Widow agents raised their arms. He said word by word, "Remember, when everyone is confused by the illusion of peace and deceived by the so-called facts, we always believe that everything is empty." The Widow's uniform voices followed Leon's lead. When morality puts shackles on the world, the law puts fetters on justice. We will never forget, all things are permitted. Everyone repeated it together, their voices resounding and powerful. Finally, remember the mission of the man in black to lead this chaotic world to the ultimate peace. Lion fell slowly. The oath is over. The oath is over. Every Widow agent was immersed in the oath she had just recited. They felt a heavy weight from it. That is the weight of carrying the burden forward in the darkness invisible to all humans. Their eyes were burning as they silently kept their vows in their hearts. At this moment, the Superman with his flying cape on the stage is their spiritual beacon and mentor of will. Leon snapped his fingers at this time. The stone door of the conference room opened automatically. 313 soldiers in pitch-black armor flew into the house. Each of these armors held a black suit. They stopped in front of a Widow agent respectively. "What is parked in front of you now is your future armor and uniform," said Lion. These armors were all created by Leon in the Resident Evil world. Over there he is the savior, able to mobilize global resources, and it is natural for him to build more than 300 pieces of armor with ease. The armor is based on Tony's Mark V in the movie. They can all be shrunk down to fit into a suitcase. And it uses a new element reactor for energy. It will be convenient for agents to travel around the world in the future. The Widows were all excited as they looked at the armor beside them that fit their own size perfectly. Yelena even hugged her armor and started spinning around, and it seemed like she wouldn't be able to stop for a while. Lion then pressed his hands down to signal for silence. "The armor and suits will be your uniforms from now on. From now on, you will no longer be known as the Widow, but as the Man in Black. The Man in Black who hides in darkness and serves the light. Your code names will be changed to alphabetical order. Natasha is Agent N and Yelena is Agent Y." The rest of the people followed the same pattern, using the letters in their names to sort them, and using double or triple letters for duplicates. The female agents all responded in unison, took the black suits held by Warframe, and changed into their uniforms on the spot. The Man in Black, who would later become known to everyone in the Marvel Universe, was born. However, the Secret Service ladies are not just known by the names of the Men in Black. In the future, everyone knows that the leader of the Men in Black is Superman. Therefore, these female agents are also called Black Nuns or Valkyries under the command of the God of the World. Chapter 90. The time has come. The establishment of the Men in Black will not change anything in the short term. The female agents who had no missions at the moment returned to their previous posts one after another, waiting for Leon's orders. As an independent organization, the financial resources for the Men in Black to maintain their operations must also be guaranteed. Yelena's murals inspired Leon. After discussing with Tony, he took over the copyright of DC Comics and Iron Man and established a superhero operating company. The function of this company is mainly to manage entertainment works and peripheral products of superhero IP. The operating profit is split 70% to 30%. 3 points go to the superhero and 7 points go to the company, similar to the VOT company of the Black Robe world. Such a company will surely have great potential in the Marvel world. After that, all we need is the endorsement of this Superman. It was also proposed that 30% of the profits from superhero IP and peripherals be paid in half by both parties, used to compensate for losses caused by superheroes in the process of enforcing justice. From now on, any superhero who wants to sign a contract will probably be able to knock down the company's door. Leon did what he said, and with a wave of his hand, he included all the parts of the Man in Black building above the ground into the company. The superhero operating company opened for business the next day. Yelena will temporarily serve as chief operating officer. Black ladies from all over the world also received the task at the same time and set up branches of the company in their local areas. As for Natasha, she has been transferred by Leon to work at Stark Networks. Another week has passed. A new morning. Leon returns from the Resident Evil world once again. Now his single-arm strength has increased to 193 million tons, and the rate of improvement is still decreasing. He's almost reaching his limit. After we deal with the 10 rings and Hydra, let's go to Camertage. Leon felt that it was time to visit the famous Ancient One in Marvel. He walked out of the room and found Natasha and Shirley eating breakfast. "You're back? We couldn't find anyone in your room just now." Natasha spread butter on the bread. "Shirley, was almost time for school, so we didn't wait for you." A few days ago, Shirley was enrolled in a nearby school under Yelena's arrangement. Now every morning Natasha and her sister Leon take turns to take her to school. Although Shirley said that she could punch more than 10 tons and did not need to be picked up. But several adults, especially Natasha and her sister, strongly disagreed. They said that other children were picked up and dropped off by their parents, and Shirley couldn't be without her. This issue was not resolved until it was discovered that all students here were picked up by school buses. Both sisters were apparently interested in raising a child. This gave them a sense of family. Every day after work, they have to run upstairs to help Shirley with her homework. After learning the knowledge in class, we also need to teach extracurricular knowledge. Natasha taught hand-to-hand combat, and Yelena taught Russian. The rich academic experience made Shirley's imperfect childhood life begin to become complete. "No need to wait for me. You know it doesn't matter whether I eat breakfast or not." Leon poured a glass of milk. "Sunshine is my best food. But it would be uncomfortable to have an empty stomach, right? Or can the sunlight fill the emptiness in the stomach?" Natasha handed the bread to Leon. "Thank you." Leon took a bite of bread. Bread, milk, eggs, and nuts. It's a really nutritious breakfast. Shirley needs these to grow. Natasha took out a thumb-sized glass box and placed it on the table. "Something happened last night. You have to see this." She tapped the glass box lightly, and a video clip was immediately projected. All surveillance cameras near the SHIELD headquarters failed last night. This is the picture taken by Agent K, who is lurking in SHIELD using the Man in Black armor. The video started playing at 11 o'clock last night. The streets were empty, with only the dim street lights isolated. A black Lincoln drove into the street and moved forward slowly. Suddenly, when it passed the intersection, several police cars came from 4 roads, tearing through the darkness and violently slammed into the Lincoln car. There is nothing wrong with the video up to this point, and it is very much in line with the style of the New York police chasing desperados. But then things got a little off track. When the Lincoln car was surrounded and unable to move, the doors of the police cars were pushed open, and someone actually dragged out Gatling machine guns and power hammers and opened fire on the Lincoln cars as if they were attacking a city. Of course, The Lincoln car didn't last long before it exploded and turned into a wreck. Jarvis hacked into the SHIELD network. After screening and comparison, the person in the car should be Nick Fury, Natasha said. Leon stopped chewing. He dragged the projection to the very beginning and zoomed in on the front of the Lincoln car. It was pitch black there, and it looked like the driver was indeed a black man. So, Nick Fury's actions during this period have finally attracted the attention of Hydra? Good, they are starting to have conflicts among themselves. This is the moment we need. Leon ate the bread in a few bites. Notify all the men in black. It's our turn to take action next. Let the female agents spread the specific information about Hydra through their own channels to muddy the waters. By the way, remember to only expose the Hydra information around the world for now, and keep the information inside SHIELD for now. I really want to see the scene where SHIELD is sent by the Security Council to eliminate Hydra. As for the matter of the internet company, put it aside for now. You and Yelena find an opportunity to sneak into SHIELD, hack into the internal network, and copy all their agent information. When the time is right, we will post them all online. Natasha's expression changed. You want to destroy SHIELD as well. What's the point of keeping this civ-like organization? It would be best if they disbanded it, said Leon. Natasha nodded. After I have arranged the company's affairs, I will go and convey the mission. Right now, the SHIELD agents are still in the dark, and they are loose inside and tight outside, so it is easy for them to be invaded. What about me? What about me? Shirley is at the age where she is interested in things like agents and spy wars. She was eating breakfast and her eyes lit up as she listened. What is my mission? Leon and Natasha looked at her and said in unison, Your mission is to study hard. Ah, it's time to go to school again. Shirley suddenly wilted, her head drooping like a green radish after being exposed to the sun. Natasha patted her head in annoyance. Let's go, little girl. It's time to go to school. It's time to go out. Oh, okay. Shirley took the school bag handed to her by Natasha and walked out the door, waving to Leon. Bye, brother Leon. See you tonight. Leon smiled and drank milk. Bye. Pay attention in class. I understand. Shirley lowered her head a little more. At the same time, a secret base facility underground in the suburbs of New York. Nick Fury, wrapped in gauze from head to toe, lay on the medical bed. He was using his only right hand that could still move to tap on information on the virtual screen. Surrounding him stood SHIELD agents Hawkeye, Phil Coulson, and Hill. You all know the current situation. At this moment, the only ones I can continue to trust are you guys, said Nick Fury. We must not let SHIELD fall into the hands of those of Hydra. His eyes were fixed on the image of Tony Stark on the screen. But if we want to take back SHIELD, it will take more than just the few of us. We need other helpers. Chapter 91, Nine-Headed Snake Exposed. Nick Fury is still planning to win over Tony. The next day, the efficient ladies in black had already placed the intelligence about Hydra on the bedside tables of politicians from various countries. Big names from all over the world. When I woke up on this day, the first thing I saw was the document that inexplicably appeared on the bedside table. This means that a restless day has officially begun. The army was dispatched. The National Intelligence Agency was dispatched. All the bigwigs who received the information immediately dispatched the most secretive and powerful armed forces they could mobilize. In secret buildings around the world, thousands of elite troops were dispatched without prior agreement to arrest all the people on the list except those from the powerful and wealthy class. They not only need to verify the authenticity of the information. What is more important is to investigate what kind of force can sneak into the homes of those big shots without anyone noticing. However, when the people on the list were arrested and imprisoned, they were tortured and given truth serums. A greater shock hit the hearts of the bigwigs. The information in the materials is actually all true. Hydra still exists in this world, and it has penetrated into every aspect, from royal relatives and state ministers to peddlers and newsstand owners. All of them have Hydra. Some big shots were even horrified to discover that the beloved one sitting by their bedside was actually a member of Hydra. Crazy, the whole world is crazy. Now who cares which force put the information at their bedside? Everyone is looking for Hydra, killing Hydra, and digging deep into the ground to find them. Almost every country is secretly experiencing unrest. Thousands and tens of thousands of orders were issued at the same time, calling for the army to be dispatched to wipe out Hydra. But these orders were issued 1 second and cancelled the next, and the people who issued the orders were beheaded. Because when those people gave the orders, the clerk beside them who respectfully handed over the gold-framed glasses was a Hydra. The country's politicians have gone crazy. The top leaders of Hydra also went crazy. A closed room. Important figures of Hydra meet via remote projection. Who on earth leaked the secrets? Who exposed the list? There's a shameful traitor among us. The well-dressed former director of SHIELD, Alexander Pierce, kicked over the table and roared loudly. That's a coward. A coward who backed down when our great plan was about to succeed. Baron Strucker, did you betray us? Was it you who gave Nick Fury the information that made him realize something was wrong? On his other side, the bald-headed Baron Stark was equally furious. I should be the one asking you, Pierce. You're the only one not on the list in that document. You hypocritical idiot, how dare you turn the tables? Baron Stark stood up suddenly, his face full of blood and his eyes red. Just because you control S.H.I.E.L.D., you think you are superior to us. You just want to monopolize Hydra. You never let Nick Fury, who's more Hydra than us, join us, and here's the proof. You were acting the whole time. First you killed Nick Fury under the pretext that he had noticed it, and now you're trying to kill us. You've only lived a decent life for a few years. Just because you can use a knife and fork, you think you can exclude those who are different from you? I tell you, it's impossible. Baron Stark cursed until his neck turned red and thick. Pierce's face turned red and he was furious. You're talking nonsense. I work diligently in S.H.I.E.L.D., how could I be a traitor? Calm down, gentlemen. Calm down. Madam Hydra interrupted the conversation. She couldn't let the two of them vent their anger in such an irrational way. The most urgent task is to deal with the suspicion of politicians from various countries towards us rather than quarreling. She calmly analyzed, Baron Stark, we are all on the list, we can't be the traitors. And none of you inside S.H.I.E.L.D. have been exposed, so it is true that you are more likely to be suspected. Before Pierce could retort, she quickened her pace, but your Insight project has been successfully implemented and the goal is within reach. There is no reason to betray. Since we can't find the answer, let's just put it aside. The most important thing now is to hide those who have been exposed by us again. Madam Hydra sat on the table with her charming body. Do you two understand? Do you think I don't understand? Baron Stark sat down in a chair. About a third of my elite men have been exposed. Now I can only hide in the base in Sokovia. But how long can I hide? That's why we're gathered here to think of a solution. Mrs. Hydra looked at Pierce. Pierce, you're the only ones who haven't been exposed. This can only be done by you. Don't let everyone down. Pierce took a few deep breaths, glared at Stark fiercely like a hungry wolf, and then nodded. I will apply to the Security Council to dispatch S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and then Sitwell and Rumlow will forge a fake death certificate for you. This is the most effective response I can make in a short period of time. Everything will be decided after the implementation of the Insight plan. After the plan succeeds, all those foolish fellows will repent for their mistakes. Baron Stark snorted coldly when he heard this. That's it. You'd better move faster. The meeting is adjourned. The Hydra meeting ended in a bad mood. On the other side, Nick Fury also found Tony Stark. He brought Phil Coulson with him and originally wanted to sneak into Stark's mansion directly like the first time. However, when he turned on the local electromagnetic shielding device, the alarm rang throughout the villa. Then, in less than 3 seconds, a battle armor dropped from the sky with its double-handed cluster cannons charging and ready to fire. Oh, listen to me. This must be a misunderstanding. Nick Fury raised his hands and kicked Coulson to remind him to surrender. A few minutes later, the two were led by the armor and met Tony in the living room. He was sitting with his legs crossed and his hands on the sofa, admiring the sea view, as if ignoring the two of them. Nick Fury didn't seem to mind and greeted him very naturally. "This is our second meeting, Iron Man. Maybe I should just call you Tony? You see, our meetings are always so unexpected. Are you surprised?" He took Coulson and prepared to sit across from Tony and said to the armor, "A cup of coffee, with milk and sugar, thank you." Coulson also smiled and said, "I'll just have a glass of milk, room temperature if possible." "Stop. Stan." Tony stretched out his left hand to stop the two of them. "Sorry, I don't think I asked you to sit down yet." "Really? I thought the sofas in your house were for friends to sit on." Nick Fury sat down as if he hadn't heard anything. He stretched out his bandaged foot straight. "I believe Stark will not be too harsh on a man with a strong will despite his disability." The smile on Coulson's face also became brighter. "The sofa is very soft and beautiful, Mr. Stark." Tony's forehead jumped at the familiarity of these two people. Shamelessness is the style of S.H.I.E.L.D. Two uninvited guests. "How do you want me to drive you off the cliff this time?" No, calm down, Tony. In fact, we are here to bring you something you need." Nick Fury motioned for Coulson to place a black box on the table. "Your father was once one of the founders of our S.H.I.E.L.D., and this is what he left there. Perhaps your arc reactor can get a better answer from this." Chapter 92 Fury, "The world will end without us." "There's one more thing besides that." Without waiting for Tony to react, Nick Fury interlaced his fingers, rested his elbows on his knees, and leaned forward. "Your father was a hero, Tony. He did a lot for the world. And now, the world also needs your help. Are you going to be a hero like Howard, or are you going to continue to be a playboy and play the game of playing Iron Man? It's time to make a decision." After saying that, he patted his butt, stood up with difficulty, and limped out the door with Coulson. "I believe you will make the right choice. When you make a decision, contact me. You'll know how to reach me, right?" The egghead used his usual cool and aloof approach, only speaking half of the words, not giving the other party any chance to ask questions, and disappeared mysteriously at the door. Tony watched the two leave in silence. Does he think he's a lame Forrest Gump, trying to recruit people just by talking? He spread his hands toward the armor beside him. "It's just like what Leon said, this black salted egg is just an idiot who loves to show off. You're using my father's things to do favors. What a joke." Tony casually picked up the box on the table, but when his eyes touched the black shell, they were filled with nostalgia and solemnity. "Then let's see what the old man is trying to tell me by hiding something." He also remembered what Leon said, that everything Howard wanted to say to him was left in here. Half an hour later, Tony was strangely silent when he returned to the lab. His silence was written all over his face, and every micro-expression was immersed in memories. There wasn't anything surprising in the box Howard left behind. Just some manuscripts, blueprints, and a few videotapes. In the dusty video, the old man showed the conceptual model of the Stark Industrial Park, implying that it was a groundbreaking invention. However, Tony had discovered the secret inside the display board with Leon's hint. What really left him speechless for a long time. In fact, it was Howard's heartfelt words at the end of the video. "Tony, you are the greatest of all the countless creations in my life." This sentence made Tony stand in front of the test bench in a daze for a long time. The Stark men seemed to be bad at expressing their emotions. In Tony's impression, until the day they parted forever, Howard never said I love you to him or expressed his love for him. So Tony was always rebellious. His rebellious behavior and personality as a child was a way for him to get Howard's attention. Until Howard died, this character really became a part of him. But now this is a conversation that transcends time and space. Suddenly he realized the love Howard had never revealed. This means a lot to him. After a long silence, Tony called Leon. Hello. You're calling me in the middle of the day. Do you miss me? To be honest, I'm not used to not seeing your snotty face every day. Leon started teasing as soon as he answered the phone, but he was definitely the most honest person in the Stark family. Missed you? Don't joke, just a little at most, like a few crumbs of cheese. Leon's words made Tony smile. Don't be like that. If you miss me, just tell me boldly. I won't laugh at you. Leon laughed. Well, this is what I saw. I just looked at the things the old guy left behind. Tony changed the subject awkwardly. Nick Fury gave you the stuff. How does it feel? Tony hesitated. There is a video in which the old guy talked a lot. Well, he didn't talk about you, because he recorded it a long time ago. No need to explain. Your explanation makes it seem like I'm very sensitive. Tell me, what do you want from me? When do we take action against Hydra? Tony took a deep breath. After feeling emotions that he had never felt from Howard, he could no longer suppress the urge to find his enemy. Don't you know? Leon's words made the corner of his mouth twitch. We have already started. Really? Why didn't anyone tell me? Tony's eyes widened. Hydra moves quickly. Pierce led his SHIELD men and opened up all the connections in one day. At the Security Council meeting, representatives of various countries voted to agree that SHIELD would be responsible for coordinating the overall situation and capturing or destroying all hidden forces of Hydra. The agents of SHIELD are ready to go. The Hydra Corps members who were mixed in the crowd were in a daze. In the eyes of ordinary agents, it is a fearless look of someone ready to fight to the death. No matter they are newcomers or veterans, at this moment they couldn't help but be moved by these Hydra elites and felt that they were the role models of our generation. Not just any ordinary agent. Even representatives from various countries who came to watch the event couldn't help but nod their approval. This situation made them want to sign and approve all action plans immediately. Little did they know that when the fighting started, these people with their heads held high would immediately turn their guns around and kill all their colleagues around them. Soon all of S.H.I.E.L.D. applications for deployment were approved. 3 aerospace carriers are ready to take off from the S.H.I.E.L.D. base. This time, Pierce spent all his family fortune just to put on a grand show. And at a base in the suburbs of New York, the real good guy Nick Fury was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. He circled the table and kicked the wall with his bandaged foot. Those good-for-nothings in the Security Council, can't they see that Pierce has bad intentions? Fury, you never thought there was anything wrong with him before, did you? Hill reminded him, looking dashing and heroic in her combat uniform. Nick Fury's dark complexion darkened even more. I'm a fool too. In Bogota, Colombia, Pierce deceived me with his rule-abiding face. In 1995, Nick Fury was just an ordinary deputy station chief of SHIELD stationed in Bogota. During a rebellion on the issue of rescuing hostages, Pierce, who was the diplomatic ambassador at the time, insisted on negotiations on the grounds that the lives of the hostages could not be taken lightly. However, Fury took a risky move and launched a thunderous rescue operation regardless of orders, rescuing all the hostages. Among them was even Pierce's daughter. So Nick Fury could never have imagined it. Pierce, the former director of S.H.I.E.L.D., with whom he had such a life-and-death friendship, would be a Hydra. Any news from Tony Stark? He said with a serious face. We need him. I'm sorry, sir. There has been no news from him. Halsin spread his hands. Could it be because we didn't leave any contact information? What contact information? He has artificial intelligence. What contact information do he need? Nick Fury cursed again. We can't just sit there and wait for death. Even without that playboy, we have to take action. He looked at the shield base captured by satellite. We have to sneak into the helicarrier and stop Hydra's conspiracy. He pounded his fist on the table. Otherwise the world will end. Chapter 93, The Skrulls and -039, Help. Sneaking into the aerospace carrier is easy to say, but including Nick Fury, they currently have only 4 combat personnel that can be deployed. 4 guys infiltrating the world-class military facility was a joke. But neither Hawkeye, Coulson nor Hill hesitated at all. They truly felt that they had the mission of saving humanity on their shoulders, and they carefully studied the strategy for the entire night. We must break into the command room at all costs. I believe there will be our own people among the agents. We must give priority to winning over this part of the force. Hill analyzed. This plan is very radical, but it is our only option at the moment. We have to give it a try, said Hawkeye. Let me try to contact Tony Stark again. He will take action at the critical moment. Coulson made a solemn promise. When the 3 men dispersed, Nick Fury's unfathomable expression became heavy. Everything happened too fast. He thought he could take it step by step and quietly take back SHIELD with his own strength. But overnight, somehow, top leaders all over the world knew about the existence of Hydra. A war is about to begin. He no longer had time to wait. After standing alone for a long time, Nick Fury dialed a number. Talos, I need your help. Talos is the leader of the Skrulls, an important member of SWORD and a good friend of Fury. That's right, Fury's trump card is his alien friends, the Skrulls. He wants to rely on the surprise force to turn the desperate situation around. Meanwhile, in Brooklyn, Lion, who had been using his super hearing to pay attention to the developments of all parties, almost laughed out loud when he heard what Fury said on the phone. This black salted egg is really not cautious when it should be, and naive when it shouldn't be, but it is cute. The Skrulls are not some friendly alien race. They are interstellar refugees in Marvel movies, but in comics they are cosmic rogues who dominate the galaxy. This race is the creation of the gods, possesses the ability to imitate other people's appearance and copy other people's memories by concentrating. The particularly outstanding ones among them are called Super Skrulls. This group of people can even imitate and copy the target's extraordinary abilities, reaching 60% to 70% of the original owner's level. However, this ability was cut in the movie universe. It has become necessary to use the target's blood and special equipment to replicate the target's extraordinary abilities. This makes them much less threatening. This would also explain why they were not able to fight the Kree Empire on equal terms as in the comics. The reason why these Skrulls hid on Earth can be traced back to more than 10 years ago. In the movie universe, these interstellar refugees were initially hunted down by the Kree Empire. The leader of them, Talos, by chance awakened some of the memories of Captain Marvel, who was then controlled by the Kree Empire. Then they took the opportunity to escape to Earth. When he met Captain Marvel and others again, Talos behaved extremely harmless. It shows kindness and provides help, as if it is so kind and innocent that it can give away one's heart. So Captain Marvel and Nick Fury repelled the Kree army. He promised to help these Skrull refugees find a suitable planet to migrate to. And this search lasted for more than 10 years. During this period, Talos sent a message to his compatriots wandering in the universe: the Earth is safe, come quickly. Nowadays, there are more and more Skrulls on Earth, and their number has reached millions. As the time goes, they gradually discovered that the Earth was the most suitable planet for them to survive and began to become hostile to humans. However, Nick Fury regards these aliens as friends and subordinates. Still don't know anything about this. Perhaps it was because he never wanted to think badly of these friends of his. After all, he was able to climb to the position of director of SHIELD in just a few years. A large part of the credit comes from the help of the Skrulls who can copy appearance and memories. Thinking of this, Leon shook his head. There are millions of people like Mystique. Even if they didn't have ambitions at the beginning, they have them now. Compared with these Skrulls, even the men in black he had just formed seemed a little weak. Once we have dealt with Hydra, we will find a chance to drive away these Skrull greenskins. When the aerospace aircraft carrier takes off, Nick Fury and others successfully blended in. Even the infiltration process was carried out according to the plan made by Hawkeye and his team overnight. No accidents happened. Hawkeye and Coulson sighed that there is always a way out and God is blessing mankind. Only Nick Fury strolled behind the others, laughing secretly. He thought that the old Skrull guys had already replaced the defenders in key positions, and he was the one who was carrying the burden behind the scenes. Not only that, he also arranged for several Skrulls to replace the officials of various countries. Only in this way can he turn the tide in the shortest time. Take this route. We'll go directly to the command room, control everyone, and use this aerospace carrier to shoot down the other two. Hawkeye, the best combat agent among the four, led the way. Hurry, Fury. We don't have much time. Follow us. The information Tony provided only contained information about the core members of Hydra. The Skrulls have not yet passed the information obtained from copying the memories to Fury. The four-man team could not distinguish between ordinary agents and Hydra members, and could only knock out any agents they met along the way. They quickly rushed to the command room. 4 people squeezed into the ventilation duct, lying on the same vent and looking down. The vent was only 50 centimeters long and wide, with 4 heads pressed together, like 4 seeds growing in a peanut shell, all compressed and deformed. Rumlow, he's here too. Nick Fury glared at the figure below with his one eye, a fierce look in his eyes. He's also Hydra. Crossbones are all Hydra. Hawkeye thought it was outrageous. No wonder you said that we are the only ones you can believe. Are we really S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, not Hydra-hired personnel? Now is not the time to talk about this. Hawkeye, you come and hold back Rumlow. Coulson, you cover Hill as he goes to seize control. What about you, Fury? Hill asked. Of course I am. Who's there? Come out. A voice shouted, interrupting Nick Fury. Sharon Carter, dressed in combat uniform, aimed her gun at the vent. There she saw 4 heads, squeezed together and deformed. Now that S.H.I.E.L.D. is in a state of panic, she immediately suspected that Hydra had sneaked in, and she was being cautious by not shooting directly. As the niece of Peggy Carter, the founder of SHIELD, she is as charming as her predecessors. Nick Fury cursed speechlessly, and the 3 heads beside him rolled their eyes. A few minutes later, 4 people who jumped down the ventilation duct one after another were surrounded by dozens of people in the command room. Nick Fury? How could it be you? Weren't you killed by Hydra 2 days ago? Chapter 94, Battle for Aircraft Carrier. Sharon Carter looked at Nick Fury suspiciously. And Hawkeye, Hill, and Coulson? You disappeared for 2 days. Didn't you fall victim to Hydra? She began to wonder if the 4 people in front of her had any connection with Hydra. Otherwise it would all be too much of a coincidence. Crossbones Rumlow also stepped forward and said, Director Fury, you disappeared at a critical moment and inexplicably appeared on the helicarrier. You need to give us an explanation. He pulled out his gun and took a defensive stance. Otherwise it will be hard not to make people suspect that you are related to Hydra. You're right. Nick Fury raised his eyebrows and nodded. I do need an explanation. He was pointed at by a dozen guns, but he remained calm. He pulled a chair and sat down calmly, with his legs apart, facing the people pointing at him. You want to know the truth, so I will tell you the truth. News about Hydra has been circulating among high-level officials in various countries these past 2 days. The full mobilization of S.H.I.E.L.D. this time is also aimed at destroying Hydra. But what if S.H.I.E.L.D. is full of Hydra, too? I want to tell you, there are countless Hydras hiding here, hiding around us. Nick Fury tilted his head back and scanned the people present with his nostrils. He felt that everyone here was suspicious and quietly glanced at Hawkeye on the side. This is all nonsense and alarmist. Rumlow clicked his rifle and loaded it. A man who disappeared at a critical moment and appeared again to sow discord. Nick Fury, when did you become Hydra? The few real S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who were originally beginning to waver after hearing what Nick Fury said. After hearing what Rumlow said, his eyes became confused again. The situation at the scene was too complicated and they knew too little information to decide who to trust. Rumlow, are you so eager to refute me? Nick Fury said coldly, I know your identity as Hydra very well. There is no need to continue pretending. There are a lot of Hydra people here, right? Is there any need to cover up? Rumlow narrowed his eyes. I don't understand what you are saying, Nick Fury. I will arrest you for treason. Why are you so excited? Suddenly a gun was turned towards Rumlow. That was an ordinary S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Could it be that what Director Fury said is the truth? The man turned around and shouted to everyone, everyone calm down. Don't you even want to believe the director of S.H.I.E.L.D.? How could Hydra corrupt even the director? There must be something wrong with this Rumlow. A fierce light flashed in Rumlow's eyes. He glanced at the man with a hawk-like gaze and was about to say something. Suddenly another voice interrupted. Everyone, I think you need to watch this live. A female agent leaned over the computer and quickly operated it, projecting a live broadcast room on the central screen. Live broadcast? Everyone had a question mark in their head. We were halfway through the show Infernal Affairs and all we had to do was say I'm a good guy before the fight started. You're asking us to watch the live broadcast at this time? Everyone felt it was extremely absurd in their hearts, but they couldn't help but look at the big screen along with the voice. The picture shows a press conference. A figure that was familiar to everyone present stood next to the press conference podium. In summary, I destroyed the remaining forces of the Red House a few days ago. Tony Stark rested his elbows on the table, his body half leaning, but his big eyes were full of seriousness. On the screen behind him, a video of Mark Armor moving in front of a fortress was shown. That was the photo that Leon asked Jarvis to take when Tony was flying around the Sky Fortress. From their transaction records with the outside world, I discovered a shocking secret. Tony emphasized, Hydra, which was supposed to have died out in World War II, still exists today and is lurking in various fields around the world. They are in the top echelons of the country, and they are also in the world's secret organizations. From those transaction records, I deduced that even Pierce, the former director of S.H.I.E.L.D., was a Hydra. The so-called S.H.I.E.L.D. is Tony said as he projected the definitive evidence behind him. His remarks today were made after discussions with Leon, a decision the two made together. One of the purposes is to reveal the truth that Hydra is hiding in S.H.I.E.L.D. The other is to enhance Tony's reputation among officials of various countries and facilitate his subsequent transnational revenge operations. The press conference was somewhat quiet. Most reporters are not clear about what S.H.I.E.L.D. is and are skeptical about the claim that Hydra still exists. Even on the internet, netizens who were watching the live broadcast were all confused. The live broadcast room was filled with question marks. But on the aerospace aircraft carrier, the reactions of the people watching the live broadcast were different. Nick Fury's face suddenly changed. How dare he announce such news directly? Halson, is this the result of your contact last night? Chief, I don't know either. I tried everything last night, but couldn't contact him. Halson sounded aggrieved. What? You didn't contact him? Then how did he know all this? Did he really destroy the power of the Red House? Nick Fury's expression was a little distorted. But looking at the agents around him who were shocked by the live broadcast content, he decided to go with the flow. You've seen it. Even Iron Man Tony Stark is accusing Pierce of having problems. Do you still doubt what I said? Nick Fury stood up, his eyes were fierce and unbearable. Rumlow, you and Pierce are both Hydra. How long are you going to keep pretending? Rumlow jumped up instantly upon hearing that, raised the muzzle of his gun and was about to shoot at Nick Fury's life. But as he raised his gun, Hawkeye Barton's arrow was also aimed at him. Put down your gun, Hawkeye shouted coldly. The cold shout was like a piece of red-hot coal being thrown into the water. The entire command room was on edge. Anyone with a gun is pointing it at a suspected target. Sharon Carter and 4 or 5 others pointed their guns at Rumlow. The rest are targeting Nick Fury and others. These people are undoubtedly members of Hydra. Very good. I know there are a lot of you, but I didn't expect there would be so many. Nick Fury wanted to say something else. But it is not known who fired the first shot, just like the shot of independence fired in Lexington hundreds of years ago. The next moment, the command room was filled with gunfire and bullets. There were bursts of gunfire, flaming flames, and smoke everywhere. Hawkeye entangled Rumlow and found the opportunity to shoot and kill a Hydra member with an arrow. The battle was in full swing, but as the ordinary agent who initially stood on Fury's side fell, he turned into a green-skinned inhuman creature. Nick Fury yelled no, and was pinned to the ground by the crowd in a daze. Several others were also injured, died, or lost their combat effectiveness. Hawkeye was eventually surrounded by several people and fell to the ground trembling under the electric baton. The aerospace aircraft carrier counterattack was thus declared over. And in the corner where no one pays attention, the female agent who played Tony's live broadcast at the beginning. I don't know when he hid under the table. She controlled the camera to record everything and connected it to a special network to broadcast the scene live to the outside world in real time. And she is the Man in Black, codenamed Agent K. Chapter 95 Rising Tide Organization. We are responsible for this leak. Agent K transmits the on-site images in real time to the Men in Black's internal satellite through an encrypted channel. In the Sky Fortress, Mary, also known as Agent M, transferred and encrypted the images and uploaded them to a dark web. The title at the top of this website is Rising Tide. Rising Tide is a free organization similar to the Hacker Union. They advocate openness of information and freedom of speech. The members are scattered all over the world and most of them don't even know each other very well. They reveal the information sealed by various countries and move freely on the internet, like Zorro in the electronic field. The idea is to give everyone the right to know. Many freelancers in the organization like to read posts on the website when they have nothing to do. Agent M's post received a response soon. M. Did everyone watch Tony Stark's live press conference? I hacked into the SHIELD network and found something video link. Sky, I just saw this. I was also planning to hack into SHIELD. You're really fast, my friend. Anonymous 1, M, are you posting a video? Miles, Sky, your current level of technology makes it easy to be tracked. Don't hack into those confidential organizations without my cooperation. Sky, okay, I remember my mentor. Anonymous 2, you guys are still chatting? Oh my god, the video M posted is definitely the most shocking one I have seen this year. Anonymous 3, what the hell? The black guy in the video is the director of SHIELD, right? We saw him before when we hacked into the archives. Was he defeated by Hydra? Anonymous 1, Hydra really still exists. They even took control of SHIELD just like Stark said. Damn it, we have to do something. Miles, we are just a group of hackers, what can we do? Sky, this video can be published and posted on the front page of all portal websites. Everyone should have the right to know. Anonymous 1, Sky is right. This is what we should do. Let's take action and bring down the servers of those internet companies. Anonymous 2, but it seems that most social software are from the Stark Group. I remember that their firewall is difficult to break through. Leave it to me. We at the Rising Tide organization have already taken care of this matter. Sky, beautiful. Remember to put a high tide watermark in the video. No problem. 10 minutes later, a huge banner link pops up on all Stark Group's web pages and software homepages. The banner reads, "Revealing the truth about Hydra. The world's official secrets are concealed again, and the Rising Tide organization guarantees the authenticity of this leak. Click on the link, and the video content is exactly what happened in the aerospace aircraft carrier." The whole process of Nick Fury and his team sneaking into the aircraft carrier and being defeated after a fierce battle. It was all recorded by the camera. A stealth operation lasting several hours. It was even edited down to only 5 minutes. The video has a tight rhythm and even has exciting music at key moments. It makes people's adrenaline rush. I don't know whether this editing was done by Agent M or by Jarvis. All portal websites recommend the video on their homepages at the same time, and the video's spreadability has reached its peak. Almost as soon as it was released, tens of millions of netizens clicked on the link. After a few minutes, the video was filled with barrages from beginning to end. There was also an uproar in the comments section. "Thank you for the generous gift. Is what Tony Stark said true? Hydra is still alive. I can't believe it." After watching this video, it was like someone suddenly told me that my grandfather, who fought in World War II, has crawled out from under the tombstone again. Are those officials just there to do nothing? And this damn shield, they are all garbage. That black man is the director. He was dealt with in the first encounter. He seems to be worse than me. Hey guys, didn't anyone notice the guy on the ground who turned green? Is that some new tech clone? What's going on now? That black man is shouting about destruction and salvation. Is a world war about to begin? There was a lot of discussion on the internet for a while, but most netizens didn't take the matter seriously and just thought it was fun to watch. SHIELD Headquarters. The reactions of representatives from various countries here are very different from those of netizens. Originally, Pierce was leading hundreds of representatives happily waiting for good news from the front. Even to prevent the representatives from getting bored after staying for too long, he also personally served as a guide and took everyone around the SHIELD building to see how serious and responsible the agents were at work. After touring the building, I took the representatives to have lunch. Pierce also contacted Agent Sitwell on the front line in front of everyone. Sitwell reported with a calm and happy expression, saying that all the operational plans were going smoothly. Upon hearing this, the representatives all breathed a sigh of relief and praised the speech highly. Everything should have started happily and ended smoothly. But fate played a joke on Pierce at this time. At some point, a representative's cell phone suddenly rang. Then the second one. The third one, everyone's communication devices started ringing wildly. Hundreds of wildly different ringtones merged into a chaotic symphony. It was as if someone had deliberately carried out a phone bombardment while representatives from various countries were gathered together. But within seconds of the representatives answering the phone, their faces changed. Their expressions were full of confusion and disbelief. The representative of the White Bear country was the first to hang up the phone. He directly controlled the projection function of his mobile phone, connected to the holographic screen in the conference room, and played the live video of Tony Stark. Then he tapped his phone and played the video that the Rising Tide organization posted at the top of various web pages. The place was quiet. The representatives, who had just gotten a general idea of the situation over the phone, were eagerly absorbing the information conveyed by the video. Pierce stared at the screen, the warm smile on his face gradually disappearing, his face sullen, but slowly turned into a sneer. "The video is over." The representatives looked at Pierce with either questioning or angry eyes. "Do you have anything you want to explain, Chief Pierce?" The representative from the White Bear country actually took off his suit jacket, revealing a body of well-developed muscles. It looked like he wanted to challenge someone to a duel. Other representatives also came to their senses. Judging from the content in the video, Pierce is Hydra and has almost been nailed to the ground. The previous director is a Hydra, so how many good people are there in S.H.I.E.L.D.? These hundreds of national representatives were undoubtedly trapped in the heart of the enemy camp, which was even more dangerous than the frontline battlefield. All they can do now is either resist or wait for their country to redeem them. Most of the representatives stood up and stood beside the White Bear country representative. They chose to fight Hydra, but Pierce just found the scene funny. He shook his head, turned around and walked outside, pressing the communication device in his ear. Subdue them, boom. The door of the conference room was suddenly kicked open. Dozens of heavily armed agents threw tear gas behind Pierce and then rushed into the house with guns. Rising tide, Tony Stark. Pierce brushed shoulders with the agents, his brows cold in the shadows. You'd better have written your suicide notes. Chapter 96. Pierce, War with the World. In a dark room, the leaders of Hydra gathered again through projection. It was different from last time when the atmosphere was tense and everyone was like a burning gasoline barrel. At this moment, everyone present was silent. They sat at the table, looking at the circle of table between his hands. I really can't figure it out. Just a few days ago, everyone was drinking champagne, hugging each other's waists, and talking about grand ambitions. Why only a few nights have passed? The Hydra that had previously lurked like a shadow beneath the surface of the world. He became a well-known street rat. Who is the traitor? Baron Stark clenched his hands tightly, his face looking a little more pale than yesterday. It doesn't matter now who the traitor is or whether there is a traitor or not, Pierce said in a low voice. All the leaders have been exposed. Either we cut off our arms to survive, and use everyone's lives to exchange for the birth of a new snakehead in the future. Or go to war, take over the world with guns. Pierce roared the word war from his throat, and his attitude was very clear and straightforward. Start a war. Now. Madam Hydra was stunned, but Project Insight is only 1/5 complete. How can we fight? It's easy to fight. Pierce knocked on the table. We will fight the same way Schmidt fought 70 years ago. He even thought of a battle plan. I have had 10 hydrogen bombs placed on each of the 3 aerospace carriers. Now it's time to put them to use. We can let Rumlow and his men use the mothership and hydrogen bombs to contain all parties in the world. And we took advantage of the opportunity to seize the Middle East. The Middle East is a powder keg where we have many troops stationed, making it a suitable place for us to start a war. Do you agree or not? Pierce's eyelids half fell over his eyes, but the gaze that shone from them was as sharp as a knife. Isn't there something wrong? Mrs. Hydra disagreed. Most of those troops were expelled by Tony Stark before, and their combat effectiveness is worrying. She felt that Pierce had just experienced a great ups and downs and had lost his mind. Wage war on the whole world? Do you really think Hydra is still as powerful as it was 70 years ago? Also, what did you just say? There are nuclear bombs on the aerospace carrier. She narrowed her eyes. Aren't those motherships going to feint an attack on me and Stroker? What do you want to do with the nuclear bomb? Just in case. Pierce twisted his tie and said, It took my branch decades to accumulate all that money. Just for use in situations like this one. For example, to serve as a deterrent or to eliminate some cowardly traitors. As he said this, his eyes were fixed on Baron Stark and his companions. Madam Hydra slowly stood up. Are you threatening us? I'm just talking about the next plan. Pierce looked around. So, do you agree to go to war? Baron Stroker and Madam Hydra looked gloomy, but agreed under pressure. Agreed. Seeing that the 3 main leaders had reached a consensus, the remaining people also agreed. When Pierce returned to the previous meeting room again, Representatives from various countries were tied tightly to their chairs. Their mouths were sealed with tape, and when they saw Pierce come in, they all glared at him. Don't get so excited, ladies and gentlemen. I know you must be thinking that your country will send troops soon and Hydra will be destroyed again soon. But I want you to look at this. Pierce switched the projection screen. A projection of the Earth appeared, and the current positions of the 3 aerospace carriers were marked. They are in San Francisco, Poland, and Sokovia, and it is suspended above the densely populated city, less than 1,000 meters above the ground. The aerospace carrier can be parked in such a position. It was originally a temporary authority given by various countries in order to eliminate Hydra. But at this moment, it became the sword of Damocles that they hung on themselves. And look at this again. The projection screen switched again, showing rows of shipborne missile launch systems. The huge missile above is ready to ignite. Each aerospace carrier carries 10 hydrogen bombs with a yield of 1 million tons. You know what this means. We can drop a hydrogen bomb on the city beneath the aerospace carrier at any time. If you don't want to be recorded in history as a butcher, then let the country behind you do what I ask. Pierce looked at all the representatives present with a smile, which was frank and fearless. You devil. No one will ever do what you say. Go and pass on the message to you. Someone broke free from the tape and cursed in a trembling voice. No, I don't need you to convey it for me. What I just said has been recorded and sent to all countries. Pierce found a chair and sat down. He leaned back in his chair comfortably, and no wonder Fury always likes to lean on a chair and talk to people. It's really comfortable. Pierce's method is undoubtedly feasible in the early stages. Of the countries that had learned the specific intelligence, no one dared to act rashly. To know, there are tens of millions of people beneath those 3 aerospace motherships. If you provoke that madman from Hydra, both you and him will perish together. Millions of people died in the nuclear explosion. By then, Hydra will at best just add to its already bad reputation. But the other party will be recorded in the history of the world as a sinner with countless sins at the same time. Sky and the Rising Tide organization and her first boyfriend Miles fully exerted their subjective initiative and actually intercepted the video that Pierce sent to various countries. After being horrified, they unsurprisingly chose to post the video online again. Pierce's remarks threatening various countries have just been released. Netizens immediately went wild, especially the netizens who are under the 3 aerospace carriers. You wake up from a nap and tell me there are 10 nuclear bombs above my head. As soon as the San Francisco netizens spoke, the Harmony system was triggered. What did we do wrong in Sokovia? The war has left us with nothing. Why do they even have to use hydrogen bombs on us? The Sokovian refugees cried in silence. What airship is floating over what city in Poland? Have we been blitzed again? Most netizens expressed disbelief and worry. But people in the 3 special areas have gone crazy and the whole city is in chaos. On the helicarrier where Nick Fury is, people are still unaware of the changes happening in the world. Fury and his companions were tied up by Hydra and thrown into the corner of the command room. Rumlow and the others frowned as they gathered around the Skrulls' corpse. Fury, if we don't do something, we'll be destroyed before Hydra. Hawkeye whispered, do you have any plans? I do have a plan. Nick Fury saw several figures among the Hydra agents and smiled. What's the plan? Wait. What are you waiting for? Wait, someone. Barton's eyelids jumped. Since everyone is about to die, can you please explain it clearly for once? The person I'm waiting for is here. Fury raised the corners of his mouth. A tall and thin Hydra agent walked casually past Nick and the others. Clang! A small knife fell in front of several people. Hawkeye's eyes widened. You said you're not Hydra. Wait, he's that alien just now. You don't have enough authority to know this information. Fury hooked the knife in front of him with his foot. Even if you didn't tell me, I know that they can transform into human form, right? This is a bit dangerous, Fury. No, they are friendly to Earth and not dangerous. Nick Fury denied. The two were whispering boom. Suddenly there was a gunshot. Everyone looked over. Rumlow's gun was smoking. In front of him, the agent who had just walked past Nick Fury was shot in the eyebrow and fell to the ground, turning into a green-skinned Skrull. No! Nick Fury glared and shouted. At the same time, 6 different figures among the Hydra agents subconsciously exclaimed, "Dolly." The next second, Rumlow turned the gun around and fired 6 shots in a row, each one hitting the man in the head. The 6 men were shot dead on the spot and turned into green-skinned corpses. If Hawkeye can guess it, how could Rumlow, who is also a top agent, not guess it? Asshole, you bastard. Nick Fury broke down and yelled, "How dare you kill them? How dare you? I will kill you, Rumlow, you Hydra bastard." Rumlow said nothing, twisted his neck, walked up to Fury, and hit him in the jaw with the butt of a gun, knocking him unconscious. The threat has been eliminated. Continue working and wait for orders from superiors, Rumlow said to others without changing his expression. The Hydra agents withdrew their gazes and continued with their respective tasks. This scene was also filmed by Agent K and transmitted to the outside world. Chapter 97: Retreat and Escape. Agent K has been hiding in a corner where no one can notice him. Her superior physical fitness enables her to use her agility to avoid searches by Hydra members. Just as she closed her eyes and rested, her bracelet suddenly vibrated. After a tap, a light screen was projected on which was a message sent by Leon. I received the video. Well done. Take Ludan and his men and retreat. Leon was in the air fortress and sent a retreat signal. S is his code name in the Men in Black. He doesn't plan to release this video of the Skrulls for the time being. Hydra was enough to shock the world. It would be better to save the matter of aliens for next time and expose it all at once. By then, we can take advantage of the public enthusiasm and drive the Skrulls out of the Earth. As for the Skrull who was exposed earlier, I believe Fury will be able to fool him. Sometimes Leon feels that he should have a shock value system if that's the case. These actions alone have aroused emotions around the world. I'm afraid it's enough for him to change into the physique of Superboy Prime. On the space carrier. After reading the message, Agent K flicked his wrist to close the light curtain. Roger that, Commander Superman. She picked up a metal suitcase and walked out of the shadows with her graceful waist twisting. Agent K is of Asian descent and was once placed by the Red House in a research institute affiliated with Hydra. Later, Hydra recognized her excellence and sent her to the SHIELD Academy. During this period, Hydra also conducted a superficial brainwashing on her. But the effect is obviously not as good as the chemical method of the Red House. If Natasha hadn't injected her with inhibitors a month ago, she is probably still in the SHIELD laboratory, doing research with Fitz, Simmons, and others. As soon as Agent K stepped out of the shadows, he was immediately noticed. Stop! A Hydra agent threatened with a gun. Rumlow reached out to stop his men. He knew Agent K. You are Caitlin? I remember you should be in the Institute now. He looked at K suspiciously. I am carrying out a special mission for that person. Agent K explained he asked me to take Nick Fury and other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents away at a critical moment. She did not say who that one was. Instead, when he walked up to Rumlow, he whispered, "Hail Hydra." When Rumlow heard this, the hesitation in his eyes instantly cleared up. The person in front of him was originally from Hydra, and he matched the secret code, so he must be one of us. He waved his hand to indicate that there was no threat and asked the others to return to their posts. Rumlow didn't even ask why Nick Fury and others were taken away instead of being killed here. He just watched Agent K leave the command room with Fury on his shoulder, Hawkeye in his hand, and Hill and Sharon Carter under his arms. So she is a strengthened human. Is she also a Winter Soldier? Rumlow shook his head without further thought. Agent K was carrying several people. His slender figure looked like a stalk full of rice ears. She made her way unimpeded into a Quinjet, leaving several people on the ground. A few seconds later, the fighter jet ignited, took off, and left the aerospace carrier. This is bad. We're going to be taken to a deserted corner and evaporate. Hawkeye observed the interior of the fighter plane. He is very familiar with the structure of the Quinjet and might be able to find a way to survive. Maybe we still have a chance. Halson looked at Agent K in the driver's seat. She doesn't look like a Hydra. Unlike, just now she led us along the way, and no one stopped us. Isn't this unlike? Sharon Carter's eyes stopped on the parachute stand. She is very strong. She must have been strengthened. It is difficult to deal with her. Is there any way to destroy the cabin? If we want to escape, we can only live in death. However, Coulson did not respond. He turned around and asked Agent K directly, "Ma'am, where are you going to take us?" Agent K glanced at the dial, Warsaw, Poland. "Okay, we're here what?" Everyone in the cabin was dumbfounded. What the hell was going on? The next second, the fighter plane suddenly slowed down, hovered, and then landed on the ground with a slight shake. Agent K left the driver's seat, dropped a few tactical daggers at the feet of several people, opened the hatch and walked out. "Take Nick Fury away from here. From now on, we in black will take over the affairs of Hydra." Man in black. Several people could see from each other's confused eyes that none of them knew about this organization. But that's right. They don't even know there's Hydra in S.H.I.E.L.D. Then it seems normal that I have never heard of this kind of organization that can arrange people to infiltrate Hydra. What the hell is normal? It was obvious that 2 days ago, S.H.I.E.L.D. was the largest and most secretive organization in the world. How come it suddenly turned into the Joker? Hawkeye and the others started arguing with their eyes. "Ma'am, can we help you?" Coulson asked in a kind manner. "No need," Agent K said without turning back. She was carrying a metal suitcase, and with a pull and a twist, a set of pitch-black armor actually unfolded from it and attached itself to her body. The curves of the armor fit her body perfectly, tight as clothes and smooth as water. The quiet and charming beauty suddenly turned into a mysterious warrior like the goddess of the night. After putting on the suit, flames spurted out of the armor's hands and feet at the same time, and Agent K cut into the sky in the blink of an eye. "Thank you for the generous gift." Could it be that this group of men in black was founded by Tony Stark? Hawkeye was stunned. Now the whole world knows that the Iron Man armor is Tony's exclusive weapon. Is she going back to the aerospace mothership? The time it takes us to fly out of the mothership and land is no more than half a minute. The mothership should be near this longitude and latitude. Hurry! We have to find a way to get out of here, contact more people, and stop Hydra. Hill made a judgment, turned around quickly, and picked up the dagger with his hands tied behind his back. The others also quickly untied the ropes and slapped Fury to wake him up. But when they rushed out of the Quinjet and saw the helicarrier overhead, close enough to make out its base, only one sentence remained on their lips. What the hell? The aerospace mothership was suspended in the air thousands of meters above the city, on the scale of a mothership. At this height, people in the entire city could even vaguely see its hideous gun muzzle. Whether it is Warsaw or the other two cities, they all fell into a panic of escape. In the city, the right and left lanes are filled with vehicles fleeing. Even in Warsaw, one of the best planned cities in Poland, the entrances to the highways are clogged with traffic. The best way for people to leave is by plane. But by the time ordinary citizens reacted, all the expedited tickets had already been sold out. It seems that the air route has become the exclusive life channel for the powerful and wealthy. But the good thing about Hydra is that it treats everyone equally. They can't control the vehicles rushing out on the ground. But if your plane dares to take off from under an aircraft carrier, the shipborne anti-aircraft guns would have to give a warning first and then shoot down the enemy. In the end, all the planes that had taken off lined up dejectedly and landed back at the airport. The dignitaries, dragging boxes full of confidential documents and luxurious treasures, ran out in groups along with the airport staff. But the traffic outside the airport was already blocked. Among those who couldn't buy tickets, some were hoping for a lucky break, or simply wanted to grab a plane, and they all drove to the airport. As a result, they were all stuck outside the airport, blocking all roads. Chapter 98 Superman enters the live broadcast room. The rich and powerful can do nothing about this situation. They were afraid of being attacked by the aerospace carrier and didn't even dare to take a helicopter. I could only get into my luxury car again and follow the traffic obediently. However, it was a blessing in disguise, as their actions actually calmed the increasingly agitated mood of ordinary citizens. Some people stood on the roofs of their cars and looked out at the endless flow of traffic. Then he looked back at the cars of the rich people lined up at the back. Some of them were so happy that they opened their beer and started drinking. After all, a nuclear bomb may fall on your head at any time. If you were not taught in school or did not learn it well enough, you can still find out the consequences of being hit by a nuclear bomb by searching on the internet. Everyone seems to be able to hear the ticking countdown of their own life. But they looked back and changed their mind. They can even drag the big shots whom they never meet on weekdays to hell together. It doesn't matter if they die. A miserable life is at least worth it. So there are men and women, old and young, in the traffic. Whenever they feel anxious, they look back at the back of the traffic. Occasionally, I would see one or two big shots in Parliament that I had seen on TV, following me with their families. They couldn't help but slap the car body, making it bang loudly, and laughed loudly. It was not a loss if God fake died today. And this is just a corner of the city of Warsaw. As a city with a population of millions, Warsaw's already mediocre basic services were almost non-existent at this time. People could only flee spontaneously. The city was full of traffic jams, and sounds of crying, shouting, looting, and smashing were heard everywhere. This was just half an hour after Pierce's video was posted online. If the time is pushed back a few hours, even if this city was not destroyed by a nuclear bomb, it would probably have been destroyed by the riot. When Leon flew over Warsaw, what he saw and heard was a Warsaw filled with flames and the sound of car horns. After taking a few glances down, he flew straight up and caught up with Agent K, who had just sent Nick Fury and his men away. When the two met, they nodded to each other. Leon continued to fly towards the helicarrier. Agent K stopped and started recording using the equipment on his armor. The video data signal is relayed via satellite and directly cut into the air fortress. Agent M in the fortress seamlessly stamped the video with a high tide watermark and transferred it to major websites and software homepages to create a live broadcast portal. This is like a test of the agent's ability to run a superhero operating company. Facts have proved that in the field of new media, agents can immediately become all-round operators once they get started. They are good at editing, finding gimmicks, and shifting blame. It wasn't even Leon who suggested letting the Rising Tide take the blame. Rather, it was an agent who had joined the Rising Tide who took the initiative to suggest it and swore that the Rising Tide organization was eager to take the blame, which led to this decision. After half an hour of fermentation, the internet is in chaos. There are those who gloat over the misfortune, those who condemn Hydra, and those who support Hydra and say it was a job well done. But the residents of the three cities spoke out the most. They recorded on the internet the changes that took place in themselves after they received the news. From the initial rush to get out of the city, to the impatience after being stuck in traffic, to the despair of feeling that you can't escape the city even after dark. Finally, some people began to write suicide notes publicly online. Some people even broadcast live broadcasts of themselves kneeling on the ground, reciting the Bible and praying for God's blessing. In a disaster, there are all kinds of people. But there is a group of people among them who are particularly special. These are a group of netizens from the Middle East and Afghanistan. They call themselves believers of Protestant transhumanism. They comforted people in the 3 cities under different posts. Tell them not to panic. We still have Superman, and Superman will definitely defeat the evil Hydra and save you. Through their unremitting efforts and persuasion from many parties. The Internet, which lost its memory more than a month after Superman disappeared, suddenly remembered at this moment that there was such an awesome person. The opponent is a great guy who can withstand the Jericho missile without any damage. Aren't these kinds of great people born to be saviors? So more and more posts began to analyze Superman and ask Superman to come forward. There are even many men and women who uploaded photos, saying that they are willing to spend the long night with Superman as long as he defeats Hydra. And at this moment, it seems to be responding to people's expectations. A live broadcast entrance with a rising tide watermark and the title "The Coming of Superman" suddenly appeared. After countless netizens reacted, they immediately flocked into the live broadcast room. The first thing they saw in the picture was Superman in uniform flying towards the helicarrier. Superman. Oh my God, it's really Superman. Did he hear our voices and come out to deal with Hydra? Although he's not wearing red shorts, he's even more handsome than in the comics. Who is filming this? A local drone? I say, aren't you too optimistic? Maybe he is also Hydra. It's unlikely to be Hydra, but I don't think he can save those 3 cities. That's a nuclear bomb. Isn't he afraid of being killed? There is a lot of discussion on the internet. At this time, the live camera followed Superman and arrived under the helical mothership. The red cloak was lifted up by the wind from high in the sky, revealing a body like an ancient Greek sculpture. He placed his hands on the bottom of the aerospace mothership with ease. The next moment, the camera clearly captured the ship shaking for a moment, and then being pushed higher into the air by Superman. The live camera did not move, and Superman could be seen holding up a huge ship, accelerating continuously and sinking into the clouds. The camera quickly followed until Superman's figure turned into a tiny black dot. He pushed the airship away. I'm in Warsaw, and the airship that was just floating above me has already gone into the clouds. God. My God. He is simply God. We are saved. Damn it, why didn't this guy come to San Francisco first? What if we are the first to be bombed by a nuclear bomb? Oh, I think you are all too optimistic. Even if he can push the aerospace carrier, so what? He will still die when the nuclear bomb explodes. He may not die. He pushed the ship, which must have weighed tens of thousands of tons. I can't even imagine how dense his body is. Then he will also be contaminated with radiation and will be close to death. Not just online. There was also an uproar within Hydra at this time, especially Pierce in the SHIELD headquarters. Idiots. Rumlow, you idiots. You only just found out that we declared war on the whole world, and you even let Nick Fury get away. Pierce broke countless chairs with his kicks. And this Superman, where does he want to push our helicarrier? Kill him, kill him. In front of him were 3 light screens. On the screen were the commanders of the 3 aerospace carriers. Rumlow, who was in the middle, pursed his lips and did not make any excuses. He fully understood that one must admit one's mistakes. He stood up straight. Sir, Superman can withstand Jericho missiles. We can't find an effective way to hurt him. Chapter 99 Nuclear Explosion. Return of Superman. No effective means of killing him? Are we just going to watch him carry all 3 motherships into space? Then we lose. The war has just begun, and we've already been defeated by this so-called Superman. Pierce walked around the conference room several times, and representatives from various countries sneered at him as he looked at his troubled state. Suddenly he stopped, his eyes blazing with fire. We still have nuclear bombs. Rumlow, you can detonate all the hydrogen bombs on board and smash that bastard to pieces. But, sir, we are still on the aerospace carrier. We will die if the nuclear bomb explodes. Rumlow's face turned pale. He realized that he was going to be sacrificed. Your death is a worthy one. Pierce thought of a solution and became polite again. Rumlow, remember the slogan you have been shouting? Shout it again. Rumlow opened his mouth. Long life Hydra. We have been shouting this slogan for hundreds of years. If we cut off a head, 2 new ones will grow. Your sacrifice today will allow Hydra to grow more Rumlows. Pierce gave the order directly. Detonate. Detonate all the nuclear bombs on board. Soldiers, you should be happy. Even an enemy like Superman will be defeated by you. Rumlow stared at Pierce blankly, not knowing what he was thinking. Yes, sir. He hung up the phone immediately. Pierce looked at the 2 remaining light screens in front of him and sneered a few times. He'll want to resist. Unfortunately, you can't do it. Space carrier. After Rumlow hung up the call, he turned around and gave his teammates a forced smile. Everyone, Superman is no match for us. The commander has ordered a retreat. The next moment, dozens of guns were pointed at his head. I knew it. He shook his head dejectedly and suddenly rushed towards the nearest person. After a series of gunshots, including Rumlow, there were 7 more bodies in the command room. Rumlow is not Captain America after all, and he is still not strong enough to fight against many enemies alone. Cleaned up the internal rebellion. The highest-ranking Hydra present took over command. All nuclear bombs ready to detonate simultaneously in 1 minute. He gave the order decisively and crisply. His eyes were empty and lifeless, as if he didn't care at all about the impending death. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Leon, wearing the Superman uniform, appeared in the command room like a flash. You guys continue. I'm just here to pack some experimental materials. Leon picked up the 2 Skrull corpses and disappeared in the command room again. Find a few people to receive the Skrulls and do it quickly. Leon's voice still echoed in the room, but the person was gone, as if the moment just now was just an illusion. The Hydra soldiers looked at each other in silence and then continued to work on detonating the nuclear bomb. When Agent K carrying the live camera caught up with Leon again, he resumed the posture of holding up the aerospace carrier with both hands. The bodies of the Skrulls have been transferred to the aerial fortress. As soon as the live camera captured Leon, the number of comments immediately soared. Superman, my Superman. This is almost the Carmen line. It's incredible. His speed is too fast. He's fast, strong, and can carry missiles. He's truly a Superman. I don't know if he's afraid of kryptonite. There shouldn't be any kryptonite on Earth. There's no need for kryptonite. He'll be dead when the nuclear bomb explodes. That's right. Although it's great that he sacrificed himself for others, it's also true that he's about to be blown to death. Damn Hydra. The wind was howling in the sky. The sound of strong wind blowing through Agent K's armor was transmitted to the live broadcast room through the camera equipment. In the live broadcast room, people from all over the world listened to the sound of the wind and seemed to be able to feel the coldness and silence of no man's sky. Looking at the lonely Superman carrying the ship away from the Earth, as if he was ready to sacrifice himself. Even those who were not optimistic about him fell silent at this moment. This scene is truly unforgettable. Maybe even if Superman did die in the nuclear explosion. In the future, those who have witnessed this scene will be as old as a yellowed newspaper. I will also recall this day when, 100,000 meters above the sky in Warsaw, a figure in a Superman uniform carried the lives of millions of people underground and walked towards his end alone, surrounded by sunshine and white clouds. The barrage in the live broadcast room was almost clear. The video is silent. Everyone was silent. Suddenly at some point, the aerospace mothership, like a giant beast, exploded. A white light suddenly lit up, and then spread out like swallowing up the sky and the earth. The hydrogen bomb was detonated. The flames instantly engulfed Superman's figure and rushed into the deep space nearly 100 kilometers high. The high temperature spread in circles, and near-Earth satellites were hit by radiation and electromagnetic pulses, causing failures in large numbers. The picture in the live broadcast room also fluctuated, and then the broadcast was disconnected and stopped. The equipment on Agent K's armor was specially modified by Tony. Even if it is within 5,000 meters of the nuclear explosion point, it can still continue to shoot and transmit signals. But even so, there was still a short-circuit problem. Fortunately, the recording equipment is still in operation, and the subsequent content can be edited and uploaded. However, Agent K didn't care about the equipment problem. She looked at the billowing smoke and flames with worry, feeling anxious and worried. Fortunately, Leon didn't keep her waiting for long. Soon a hurricane blew out from the center of the explosion, like a tornado moving from land to the sky. The smoke and clouds in the sky were rolled up by the strong wind and rose up, rising and dispersing into the deeper sky. The original explosion center revealed Leon, who was intact. On the internet, the live broadcast room became dark, and after a brief blank, it was quickly filled with barrages of comments. "How is he? I'm sure he'll be okay, right? God bless you, Superman will be safe. Look at his appearance, he's from our Korea, he's our hero. You are such a heartless person. You are still talking nonsense at this time. I told you, he's going to die, he shouldn't go. Superman, he's the Trinity Superman, the Holy Spirit, the reincarnation of God. He will never die, and he is destined to lead us into the future. You people from the Superman cult, stop spreading those doctrines at a time like this." The live broadcast room was disconnected continuously, and then suddenly the entire room disappeared from the homepage. For a time, people thought that Superman was really dead, and the internet was filled with grief. Even Pierce, who was watching the live broadcast at the SHIELD headquarters, felt sad for a moment, then laughed heartily towards the sky. However, a few minutes later, an edited video made it to the front page. "Rising tide, Superman returns." People flocked to click on the link. The next moment, the same cheers broke out in front of hundreds of millions of screens around the world. "He's still alive. Unharmed. Superman. My Superman." People were not even satisfied with speaking on the internet. They began to walk out of their homes, look at other people who went out at the same time, and then cheer and hug each other. The city of Warsaw has become a sea of hands. Countless hands, some slender, some rough, some wearing precious ornaments, some stained with black oil stains. They all screamed and cheered, raising their hands high and throwing everything they could into the air. "Superman! Superman!" The cheering voices gathered into an ocean. After the disaster, people cried for joy, ran, jumped, shouted and cried, or knelt on the ground and covered their faces and cried. They were all venting their emotions, expressing their joy and gratitude. Chapter 101 Punch Superman. Joy and celebration are for the common people, for Hydra and even the top leaders of countries around the world. Superman walked away unscathed from a nuclear explosion with a total yield of tens of millions of tons. Instead, it was like a blow to the head. Even humanity's current ultimate weapon can't do anything to the enemy. Superman can already do whatever he wants on Earth. Now, the only things they can think of that can be used to restrain Superman are vague things like morality and emotion. The live broadcast room on the internet has been closed, but satellite images from various countries are still being taken. They all felt a sinking feeling in their hearts when they saw Superman floating at the boundary between the Earth and space in the overhead shot. In the SHIELD headquarters, Pierce's face was as gloomy as water. Others worry about the future. He felt that he might have no future. Where on earth did this Superman come from? He must die today. Fire. Keep firing. Aim the nuclear bombs from the other two motherships at Superman and fire at him. He was hysterical. I don't believe he can bear it once and then bear it again. He must be at the end of his strength and is just pretending. At this moment, Superman's figure moved in the picture. He looked down at the earth below him, as if looking for something. Suddenly his body twisted and fell into the atmosphere like a meteorite. What is he going to do? Follow me. Follow the satellite images. Pierce shouted urgently. Lion deliberately flew very slowly so that a group of satellites could catch up with his speed. Finally he hovered over Hydra's Polish base. This is a forest. There is no human habitation within dozens of kilometers. Pierce recognized it as his own base at a glance through the satellite images. The Polish base misses. Hydra is inside right now. Damn it, does this Superman really want to kill us all? He just gritted his teeth a little. And at this time, Mrs. Hydra was in the Polish base. Looking at the figure floating in the air outside, his face looked as if he had lost his parents. That idiot Pierce is more likely to cause trouble than to do good. Quick, try to communicate with Superman and tell him not to be impulsive. Everything can be discussed. We can surrender. Madam Hydra knew that the situation was hopeless and that surrender was the right thing to do now. Besides, if we can connect with Superman, maybe Hydra's defeat may not be a bad thing. She is absolutely confident in her charm. There is no man in this world who can remain unmoved by her charm. However, her order had not yet been passed on. Superman outside the base has already moved. All satellites that were watching captured the scene. Senior officials from all over the world stood up and held their breath. In the picture, Superman swings his right hand back, making a gesture of charging a punch. It's actually not correct to say that it's accumulating power. It looked like he was simply flexing his biceps and preparing to punch. Just like everyone thought, Superman retracted his arm and immediately threw a punch. His figure appeared in front of the Hydra base as if teleporting out of thin air, and he struck the ground with a punch that was invisible to the naked eye. Boom. A shock wave comparable to a nuclear bomb explosion appeared. The satellite captured the punch as it was thrown. The ground was crumbled into powder as if it had been hit by a meteorite. A huge force poured into the Earth's surface, spreading along the veins of the Earth's crust with great force. With Superman at the center, land of 100 meters, 1,000 meters, and tens of thousands of meters broke, sank, and exploded one after another. The next second, countless smoke and dust burst through the air. The invisible shock wave lifted up the surface of the Earth in circles. Hydra's base was as fragile as a piece of paper in the face of the shock wave and was torn into pieces without any resistance. Such scenes all happened in an instant. Wait for countless people in front of the screen to blink. The images captured by the satellite were already dusty and visibility was almost zero. According to computer estimates, the dust covered an area of 10 kilometers around. After the shock wave of his punch spreads out, its power is even more terrifying than a medium-sized hydrogen bomb, someone said with a dry mouth. Not only that, I figured it out. After he appeared, his fastest speed was over 100 miles per second. The speed of his punch just now was only 11 miles per second, which was definitely not his full strength. If he used his full strength, it would definitely be another Tunguska explosion. What's the difference between this and God? The researchers couldn't help but make unscientific comments. The Earth will belong to him from now on. Some people were dumbfounded. Unparalleled defense, power to destroy mountains and seas, plus speed like teleportation. Nothing in this world can restrain him. At this moment, a hurricane suddenly blew up in the picture. The storm blew away the smoke. Everyone could finally see clearly. The wind was blown by Superman, who was floating above a bottomless pit, with him as the center. Within an area with a radius of 5 kilometers, the ground collapsed by half a meter to tens of meters. There were large chunks of rubble and rock formations that had been dug up from the ground. This is no different from a real meteorite falling to Earth from outer space. They couldn't think of any other words to describe this scene except a human-shaped natural disaster. Leaders from various countries looked at Superman on the screen. His figure with fluttering cloak floated in the air, overlooking the original location of the Hydra base. All that was left there was a pile of broken debris mixed with soil and rocks. The Hydra members in the base were nowhere to be found. This is like using a butcher knife to kill a chicken. No, this is like using an anti-aircraft gun to kill a mosquito. The leaders wiped the cold sweat from their foreheads and thought to themselves, it's just a small Hydra. Why has it come to this? Why has it come to this? They were enveloped by unprecedented shock and the fear that spread in their hearts. In the picture, Superman folded his arms and nodded and seemed very satisfied with the power of his punch. There is no one living near this Hydra base, which is perfect for displaying power and showing strength. The goal of intimidating the world has been achieved. His figure suddenly rose up and disappeared from the images of all satellites. Inside the SHIELD headquarters, Pierce slumped down in his chair. It's crazy. The world is crazy. He really is Superman, but we don't have kryptonite. His body was stiff, his eyes staring blankly at the screen. It's all over. An hour ago, he was full of excitement and determination, ready to lead Hydra on the world stage. But Superman, who had been just a clown in his eyes before, ran out and slapped him in the face, waking him up from his dream. Hydra was finished, and so was Pierce. But he was unwilling to do so. The fat on Pierce's face was piled up like old tree bark. He staggered to his feet and connected to the command rooms of the remaining 2 aerospace carriers. Open fire, fire at San Francisco and Sokovia. Launch all the hydrogen bombs and detonate them in both cities. Pierce completely lost his mind. He put all his chips on the table but lost everything, and the gambler's emotion controlled his mind. Alexander Pierce, are you crazy? Those are the lives of millions of people. Some representatives from various countries shouted angrily. Crazy? Oh, I am crazy. Pierce sneered, but this world is also crazy, and that Superman is the biggest madman. Doesn't he want to be the savior and Superman? I will let him be, and I will personally push him to the throne of the world. The prerequisite is that he can save these 2 cities, otherwise ha ha ha. Pierce laughed in the middle of the empty conference room. His laughter sounded like sobbing, and it grew louder and louder, echoing throughout the conference room. The representatives who were tied to the wall could only hear Pierce's hysterical laughter. He is really crazy. He didn't go crazy when he was defeated by Nick Fury in the movie, because he knew this old rival well and accepted the defeat with all his heart. But now everything is developing so inexplicably. Hydra was inexplicably exposed, the helicarrier was inexplicably broadcast live, and a Superman suddenly appeared and was equally inexplicably powerful. Pierce couldn't find out who was targeting Hydra. It was as if there was an invisible hand hidden above my head controlling everything. It was as if the world was against Hydra, making them fail no matter what they did. Pierce collapsed. Since he is destined to lose, he would rather lose with the Superman who will defeat him in the end. In other words, this is not the DC universe. Otherwise he would probably have transformed into the second-generation Joker on the spot. Chapter 101 The End. Too bad this is Marvel. No matter how crazy or wild you are in Marvel, it is never enough. You also have to have a tragic past, a broken family, and have buried several close friends and relatives yourself. In this way, God will give you a chance to cheat. Someone like Pierce, who has a happy family and a secure position, is destined to lose. Such as now. He had just made the insane decision to use nuclear weapons. The rows of floor-to-ceiling windows in the conference room shattered. Dozens of dark shadows broke in, rolling on the ground with broken glass to dissipate the force. The blinding sunlight followed them and poured down onto tiles and broken glass. They were either wearing slim-fitting black suits, or elegant black dresses or black nun uniforms. After landing, they quickly stood up and became alert. The Hydras outside heard the noise and rushed in. However, he was shot in the head by these men in black. The guns are as easy to use as their arms in their hands. Every shot was fired with such grace, like blooming black roses, carrying a breath of despair. Every shot is a kiss of death. All the hydras that rushed into the conference room were killed in one encounter. After clearing the threat, the men in black spun their hot pistols and put them neatly into their holsters. Only then did the representatives from various countries see their faces clearly. This is a group of girls ranging from their teens to their 20s. They all wore black suits and moved without hesitation. Everyone's indifferent face reveals deadly murderous intent and deadly charm at the same time. Who are you? Pierce stepped back in astonishment. This is the top floor of the Shield building, dozens of meters high. Where did these people jump in from? A girl in a dress stepped forward and kicked him in the calf, leaving a sharp mark on the bone. She pressed his head to the ground as he screamed. Man in black, said the girl coldly. Hydra was quickly eliminated in the Shield headquarters, and representatives from various countries who were taken hostage were released one by one. Helicarriers over San Francisco and Sokovia were also attacked. It's just that the people who launched the attacks on both sides are different. In San Francisco, a group of black armors rushed into the aerospace carrier. Some of them fired their guns. Some took off their armor and fought with their bare hands, defeating a tall and strong enemy with one punch. The battle was over in 3 minutes before the Hydra members could react. This group of people in armor even activated the stealth function of the aerospace carrier and drove it away. And in Sokovia, Iron Man rushed onto the deck with several gold and red armors. It's different from San Francisco, where there are a lot of people. He and his armor are only equivalent to 5 people. As soon as they boarded the deck, they destroyed the missile launch system and the control system of the hydrogen bomb. Then they struck from the deck all the way to the interior of the aerospace carrier. The Hydra agents were suppressed and had no power to fight back. But Tony's movements were still a little slow. He opened fire at full force and blew the head of the last person in the command room with one shot. I found out that before he came in, the Hydra people manipulated the system to run in reverse, destroyed the flight system of the aerospace carrier. Tony was shocked and flew to the deck, where he saw 4 stopped propellers. Jarvis scanned the flight system of the aerospace carrier and confirmed the possibility of repair. Tony's forehead was covered with cold sweat. The ship had already begun to descend at this point, and was falling at an accelerating rate under the force of gravity. Sir, the aerospace carrier is only 1,000 meters high. I suggest you call Master Leon. It is still 8 meters away from crashing into the city below 8 minutes. That's enough time to fix this thing. 7650. Leon, come here quickly. Tony called out to Leon at the top of his voice. He turned up the power of the armor's thrusters to maximum, rushing out of the deck, flying under the aerospace carrier. The intention is to delay the ship's fall as much as possible. But when he flew to the bottom, I found that the cloak behind Leon was floating like a cloud, and he had already set up an aerospace mothership there. Who said last time that you would never ask me for help? Leon laughed teasingly. I'm glad we made it. Tony didn't have time to refute. He let out a long sigh of relief, only to find that his back was already wet with cold sweat. He looked down. The distance between the ground and the aerospace mothership is less than 100 meters. The people fleeing on the streets all shouted in fear to the sky. Many people were so frightened that they collapsed to the ground. The panicked expressions were still on their faces. They definitely don't want to experience again the feeling of oppression and despair that comes from a huge monster falling from the sky. In contrast, Leon was now shrouded in the shadow of the aerospace mothership. He undoubtedly became their savior with holy light in their eyes. Everyone, the disaster is over. You can all go home. Leon held the aerospace mothership in one hand, waved to the crowd, and slowly rose into the sky. Tony also raised his altitude. Even with his enhanced physical fitness, his whole body was weak at this moment. It was really thrilling just now. He almost killed tens of thousands of people. If the shipborne missiles exploded on impact, he would kill even more people. Tony suddenly understood Leon's feelings in the Resident Evil world, how he created a virus that inadvertently led to the end of the world. Damn it, I have to think more comprehensively next time and not be so careless. Tony reflected on himself, but did not forget to refute Leon. But that was not a cry for help. It was just a request for help, you know, that kind of request for help. Just keep talking tough. There will always be a time when you need help. Leon carried the aerospace mothership like an oversized plate and flew towards the Arctic Ocean. Of course, such a good aerospace carrier must be stolen. Before leaving, he also took a special look at the Hydra Sokovia base. There's not many people inside anymore. Obviously, Baron Stark was well aware of Pierce's unreliability, and he ran away early when he saw the situation was not good. Leon curled his lips and turned to look at Tony. But now you understand why I don't give you the SS serum synthesis materials. I'm really worried that one day you will destroy the world. Iron Man is one of the biggest troublemakers in the Marvel Universe. Whether it's in the movies or in the comics, more than half of the crises are related to him. So Leon doesn't dare to hand over those things from the Resident Evil world to Tony. Of course, Tony is also worried about Leon. After all, Leon has a criminal record in the biochemical world. So the two brothers simply reached an agreement never to bring viruses, mold, and other things into the main world. My intentions are good. Tony continued to be stubborn. I will definitely pay special attention to the safety of ordinary people when I take action in the future. You know what? Your comments are like Batman when he first debuted. He lacked experience and could only try his best to play the role of a superhero, but he ended up stepping on air and spraining his back when he climbed through a window. Come on, Clark boy, you are just stronger than me, otherwise you would have to dodge. Tony accompanied Leon to place the helicarrier on an island in the Arctic Ocean. Do you want to go to New York with me? Shirley is about to finish school at this time. Leon asked. Well, sure. I'll go see little Shirley after not seeing her for half a month. The two flew towards New York together again and disappeared into the sky. All right, legends, that's it for today. Like, subscribe, and I'll meet you in the next audiobook.